in the basement. I don't know, where do we go from here? 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 Take me away, take me away, away from here. I'm a little bass, running this place. Take me far away. on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. La 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 la. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself. There's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but I'll be alright. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Moving on. I'm moving on. Moving on. I'm moving on.
Gain a little bit of an advantage here. He wants to make sure that they can get the vision, and the hook lands.
It does. It's going to go on the tilt. He's in a lot of trouble. Can he get it? He's going to flash. He's fine for now. We're going to see the calling come out for Swifty, but it's not going to matter. He dashes out. We do see that Dorjan gets hurt. Loki does see a lot of trouble. Tilted did fall at the end, but the ultimate came out, and it looks like Harry is going to get himself a kill. No, Loki doesn't actually survive.
Fruition. And now he's going in.
Here's the flash. He gets caught down. Nurse is going to try to use any kind of barrier that she can get, but it's not going to be enough. The Justified does knock up Hero, and they're looking for the fight here. Nurse trying to get out. There's Stone Gates would use flash from Hero, but they're going to get one. They're going to look for the other. There's the chilling fight. Hero's going to get down. Double kill going over to Loki Dosi.
Bit of extra vision.
Ultimate. Use. Yeah, it's going to hit on AK, but he's going to be fine. Use the quickness and the granite. Just get the 3-man charm so far. Mango getting super low, but it doesn't look like any more fights going to happen. Toad's going in. Drops trying to get the buff on himself, but he's going to snare up Indigo, but does not matter. The Impale's going to be cleansed away. And now the fight's going to go in. That's going to be 1 kill going over the side of Cetra. That's 3 kills on the side of Cetra. No one's going to go down. They're trying to make something happen. Doesn't matter. It's going to be a clean ace for Cetra.
And essentially how they're playing this.
They're going in, looking for the fight. There's the Vanguard's dead. They're trying to kill. Oh no, but they're not able to kill him. The taunt comes out. Tundilion's going to flash forward. He does freeze him up. He's going to use the zone. His heroic entrance is there. You see the J pop there hard. He might be able to be taken down. Finally, he is. This might be the fight they want. Moody's in there. He uses Cloud Gems. There's the stopwatch being used. Frieden's going to fall. Oh no, looks to be the next target. Meanwhile, we got Cerberus trying to push. He's doing what Tanzoni did last game.
I think you all can hear me. I think I was able to get it through, but everybody, welcome back to the Nightfall Champions League. I am your host tonight, Zonite, here to cast this amazing matchup between LSG and Recon 5. This series has been something that many people have been waiting on, and definitely something that is going to be game-changing when it comes down to this tournament. And here's the reason why. Recon 5, if they're able to pick up this win, they will go 6-0, and they will be the dominant force that needs to be stopped by one of the other teams. But if LSG is able to take them down, they will tie together at a 5-2. Wait, hold on. Nope, they will not tie. Sorry, I'm getting a little confused right now. But if LSG is able to win, they will get themselves in the second place spot with Fruition there. So now Fruition, LSG, and Recon 5 all fighting for the spot at the very moment. And now we're actually going to get ourselves really quickly into the pick and ban phase. Both teams are ready to go and want this game to get started here. 5-1, we would tie though. Thank you. Very helpful. Sorry. I looked at the score, and then I messed up in my head, and I was trying to do the math because I was trying to keep trying to keep tabs on 3 or 4 different series, plus all of the teams' rankings, so it kind of got jumbled up in there. But thank you. You can look in the chat and see the actual ranking that I meant to say there. So now it looks like both sides are ready to go. They want to get this pick and ban phase started. It has begun already, and now we're going to move on over. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. In the game number 1 between LSG and Recon 5. First off, we have the basic bans of Nidalee, Riven, and Pyke. Nidalee and Riven being the 2 bans out from Moody and Tanzo, and then also that Pyke being more prominent with Scrim down in the bot lane. So something else that they wanted to make sure that is not allowed for Recon 5. Very good bans for Lakeside Gaming. Recon 5, however, turning around with the Yorick, Corki, and Hecarim. Hecarim being a very dominant force in the jungle or in the top lane, wanting to take that away from Ratlow to Dark Cat, Corki, Yorick, 2 very strong, consistent champs in the Champions League, and now both sides are getting to the pick part of this phase here. Zoe, Sivir have been grabbed for Recon 5. Morgana is up for Lakeside Gaming. Caitlyn is still an option. They do have Morgana with them. The Morg Kate is a really strong combo. Would not be surprised if Lakeside Gaming decide that they want to grab it for themselves. And it looks like Lakeside's actually going to go with the Ashe here. They're going to finalize that pick for themselves and have the Sejuani with it. Definitely a strong combination together. Recon 5 has their next pick open. They do grab the Tahm Kench up against the Morgana and Ashe. Very safe bot lane with the Sivir Tahm Kench. Sivir is able to control the waves and also be able to slowly push out the lanes for her team, which can be very difficult for Ashe to counteract. Lakeside Gaming at this very moment is going to have to look for someone who is able to wave clear pretty efficiently to go against that Sivir push. Recon 5 and LSG, Aurelia and Kennen now have been banned out. Tanzo and Ratload are not allowed to use them. All right, as we keep on going in the pick and ban phase, you got about 10 seconds left. Recon 5 hovering that Urgot, definitely a good ban for them, and they're going to take that one out. Kindred now going to be grabbed or banned away by LSG. All of these bans very consistent and good bans, at least for Recon 5 side. LSG more did a target ban in this series, and definitely something you have to do because Tanzo, Scrim, and Moody all have been very prominent on those 3 champions, so very wise for them. But as you can see, all 10 bans definitely something to keep an eye out for. Now Recon 5 have the 4th pick, and they're going to go for that Kha'Zix in the jungle. Recon 5, they have the frontline protection with the Tahm Kench. You have Zoe with the backline damage from a distance, Sivir with your 80 carry source of damage, wave clear, and Kha'Zix with that assassination. Now, Lakeside Gaming could go for a Scion in the top lane here. Definitely something that would be pretty strong for them. Maybe even Aatrox up there. But it looks like they may want to put Vel'Koz in the mid lane here. Paddy's Wagon's been very prominent on that Vel'Koz. All right, Lakeside Gaming have the last pick. Showing up, Camille is being held for Ratload here against Tanzo. Ratload is going to be grabbed. Definitely a good source for that Sejuani here. Lakeside Gaming fully locked in. You can see their team composition ready to go. Recon 5 had the last pick. It is going to be that top laner. Tanzo's going to have to pick something here to go up against that Camille. Aurelia was taken away. Riven was taken away. Urgot, Hecarim, Yorick, all these consistent champions that he likes to play. Who is Tanzo going to grab for himself here? And it looks like the Akali is going to come out for Tanzo up in that top lane. All right. And it looks like I am not going to be solo here for the entire time. Joining me today is going to be the Recon 5 owner. He's going to be the color caster for tonight. I hope you all enjoy him and give him a warm welcome as he comes in to the caster's desk to join me here. It will be a short moment before the Recon 5 owner joins me here in the caster's desk. He's going to take a couple of minutes to set himself up and get ready to join me for this match. And now Recon 5's owner is definitely going to be pretty nervous about this matchup. LSG have been very strong lately. Definitely a dominant team to worry about. LSG is the first team that was able to take down Fruition, and if LSG is able to take down Recon 5 once again, LSG is putting their name higher and higher in this Champions League as the only team to take down both Fruition and Recon 5 here. All right, now both sides are going to get into the pick and ban phase on the client here. If you haven't already seen, you can see in the middle of the Twitch chat, in the Twitch screen, you'll be able to see somewhere where you can vote who's going to be able to win and take this home, Lakeside Gaming or Recon 5. We have 11 votes for both of them already. It's a 50-50 split, Lakeside Gaming with 11, Recon 5 with 11. It's going to be a close matchup here. And is that him?
That is me. Hello.
Oh, there we go. All right, everybody. Well, give a warm welcome to Recon 5's owner here. And give me your name. I don't want to say the Discord one in case that is not your name that you want to use here.
You can just call me Pretty Boy. That's fine.
Pretty Boy. All right.
Fine.
Just want to make sure. How you doing, Pretty Boy?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm hyped up for this matchup, and how do you feel about your team going up against LSG here?
Yeah, so, Lakeside Gaming is actually a team that I think no one really knew about coming in the split. I mean, if you look at, all the lists from week one, they were a team that most people had at the bottom. But, they have some pretty good players on the team, and their team fighting in late gaming especially is extremely good. you'll notice that a lot of their comps are prioritized to that late game. So even this comp alone, with the Ashe, the Sejuani, the Morgana, Vel'Koz, Camille, those are all like champions that really start going on late game. That seems to me where Lakeside's really shines for a lot of their games. And then on the side of Recon, you can see that they actually picked a lot of lane dominant solo laners. So I think both teams actually picked to their strength. It's going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top.
All right, and yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup. And you've seen the team comps. I don't know if you have seen the team comps. They're still up for you. You can take a look at them. Lakeside Gaming has grabbed the Morgana, Ashe, Sejuani, Vel'Koz, and Camille, while Recon 5 has grabbed the Zoe, Sivir, Tahm Kench, Kha'Zix, and Akali here. Based on the way these matchups are, do you think that Ratload has a disadvantage going up against that Tanzo with that Akali? Because a lot of the times when you look at the Champions League and the top 3 teams, those top laners are one of the key points for every single one of the teams. And Tanzo and Ratload have definitely shown to be the stronger top laners. And Camille into an Akali is definitely something. Give me your thoughts there.
Yeah, so I think Akali actually does okay into Camille, but I do think Camille, at least pre-6, has a very good matchup into the Akali. I also think that, especially for Akali, usually you have those escapes with your Veil. And for Camille, if you get a ganked, or like if you get a gank on while you're playing Camille, you can just ult the Akali in place. And even while she's in that shroud, you just have to basically wait her out a little bit, and then she's pretty much dead because she only has so much mobility, right? Like that's what makes Akali so strong, is the amounts of mobility and the escape she has. And not only that, but even her E, kind of knocks her back a little bit. That way that she can't really get return trades from the other champions. So I do think Camille is very strong into the Akali, especially pre-6. And then after 6, I would look out for the Sejuani ganks, because those in particular, I think, are going to make Akali's life really, really frustrating. So I do, at least champion-wise, I do actually like Ratload's Camille pick into this Akali.
All right. And then we have about 3 minutes and 30 seconds before we get into this first game of the day and the first game of this series between LSG and Recon 5. I'm looking at the summoner spells at the very moment. Both Sivir and Ashe are going to be taking the teleport here. Tahm Kench is going to be taking the cleanse because he's going to have the unsealed spellbook with him in his favor, and then Morgana having the exhaust. Definitely a priority when you have to go against an Akali. But with Paradox and Scrim grabbing the Sivir, Tahm Kench, and then Yuki Bunny and Boom Hunter with the Ashe Morgana, it's definitely something you have to look out for, because Morgana can be a very strong champion when it comes to picking people off, and then also being able to protect her allies. But when you look at Sivir, Tahm Kench, they have a pretty good disengage for themselves, and also a pretty good engage as well. Do you think your team was able to draft at least the bot lane better, or do you think LSG's Ashe Morgana is more in favor?
So, interestingly enough, with the teleport picks from both ADCs, it tells me that both of them are assuming that it's going to be a farm lane. There's not going to be many picks. Whether it be because Sivir has the spell shield, or if she does get hit with the spell shield down, Tahm Kench will just eat her and run away. Or if Tahm Kench gets hit, he just has the great health to come back. And on the other side, you can't really get a Morgana with a spell shield stunned, or the Ashe should be pretty safe with her W. There's not really a ton of hard engage. So to me, it seems like both of them are pretty much saying that they're going to be doing a farm lane and nothing too special there. I would say if I was going to late game, ADC to ADC, I prefer Sivir over Ashe. I do think Sivir does more damage, better wave clear, and of course her ult is super useful for a team like this. But obviously, if you're the other side of Lakeside Gaming, I mean that the Ashe Arrow, the Morgana binding, the Sejuani, all those are all very good tools to get picks off of. I wouldn't be surprised to see, since Recon 5 has the assassins like with the Akali and the Zoe, to see a lot of picks coming in from actually the side of Lakeside Gaming.
All right, and now we have about a minute left, and I'm just picking at your brain. I hope you are going to enjoy that all through the series. I'm going to do that a little bit. But finally, the last two lanes that we have to take a look at is the jungle and the mid lane. Dark Cat on the Sejuani, Paddy's Wagon with the Vel'Koz in the mid lane. While for R5, you have Moody on the Kha'Zix and Sandillion on that Zoe. And, you know, in the chat, we saw a little people questioning about the Vel'Koz versus Zoe matchup. And both of them are going to take cleanse here in this game. And I just thought about this. Do you have a way to spectate?
I do. Don't worry.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
about that. I just thought about it. I was like, I keep telling this guy what the summoner spells are, and I keep forgetting that don't know if he can spectate yet. All right.
Yep.
But yeah, so with those picks locked in for both sides, what are your thoughts before we get into this game? We have 25 seconds left.
I'm going to be honest, the fact that he picked Vel'Koz into Zoe does seem a little like inting to me. That does kind of spell death all over it, unless he is one of the best Vel'Koz players out there. So, you know, I kind of wish him luck on that one. But when it does come to the 2v2 matchup, because as a mid laner, you got to think of not just your own solo matches, but like the 2v2 matchups between, you know, jungle and mid laner. I do actually think that the Vel'Koz and the Sejuani is a very good 2v2 matchup and can definitely lock someone down, and especially when you're facing two assassins, that could spell death if they chain CC. So I would say, even for the mid matchup, I'd take it to Zoe for sure. That doesn't look like a very comfortable matchup for Paddy's Wagon with Vel'Koz. And then, but with the 2v2, of course, I would take the side of Lakeside Gaming with the easy and it's a very easy chain TC happening even from early levels. The game though, I would still say that Kha'Zix can make a big factor in a 1v1. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kha'Zix trying to get off some early ganks that Sejuani can't really respond to.
All right, and with that being finalized and said, thank you, pretty boy, for that. We have now put ourselves into game one of this series. LSG is going to be on the blue side. R5 is going to be on the red side of the map here. And something else that we like to add in to this with the Champions League. I hope you all enjoy this factor, but we're going to get into game one here. And now you will be able to see the map just a little bit better.
Give me 1 second, just making.
Oh,
sure
I zoomed out. All right, now both sides are going to set themselves across from each other, just in the 5-man spread. Not too much is going to go on here in the early part of this game.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Yeah, so actually, you do notice that both teams start out with a 5-point, but actually, we got that little pause there, but.
Nice.
Actually, the interesting thing is that the top lane, as in Ratlow, didn't actually decide to do the standard 5.4 top. That could mean that they are posturing possibly if Moody goes for that ward to get an easy cheese, or not easy, but early cheese. So definitely after this unpauses, something to watch out for is to see if Moody is going to get cheese if he goes for that ward.
Oh yeah. I feel like with the amount of time that we had with the spectators delay, or at least you said so much already that with this pause, we're just kind of just waiting here. Not much else that we can add on until the gameplay starts, but it does look like Paddy's Wagon is ready. Maybe there's something else mid. So Sandillion is having a little bit of trouble with the internet at this very moment, but we are getting into the game at the very moment. Resume has started and the game has begun. Paddy's Wagon and Ratlow now sitting in the top lane brush, waiting to see if Moody's going to place a ward down, and this could mean flash out of Moody very early on.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised to see, that's usually, I think, a tactic that isn't used, and you can actually see him walking up right there.
And W started by Ratlow instead of the E to just get a little bit of damage onto Moody. He got down to about 75% HP, but Boom Hunter does not want to make the same mistake that Moody did. It is not going to walk over to the river just yet. Sejuani and Kha'Zix are actually going to both start on the bottom half of the map. Sejuani's going to start at her red buff, while Moody's going to start at his blue buff here.
Yeah, and to be clear, actually, Moody did actually have to use a charge of his spot. So that actually will affect him a decent amount in his clear time. Like he's not going to, his clear is going to be a little slower because of it. So it actually was kind of an effective little cheese there. Definitely something to watch out for, I think, is how effective is his early game going to be? Because that's going to be, without having the early clear, it is going to be a little hard to force those ganks early, right? Like you have in jungle in particular now, the XP difference. When most solo lanes are hitting 6, you're hitting 4 to 5 if you're lucky. So I think that will affect clear time, and we're gonna have to see how effective his ganks will be because of it.
Yeah, and now on the bot lane, Boom Hunter's pushing on forward. He does get the buy-in on this Scrim there. He is locked down for a little bit. Yuki Bunny getting as much damage as he can. Scrim's going to have to force the flash away, but it is going to be taken down. Yuki Bunny gets the first blood.
Yeah, excellent play by that Ash Morgana. I'm actually surprised that they were able to, get that easy kill. It's something you have to be worried about when you're bot lane is you're always counting those minions to see who's going to get, level 2 first. And it looks like to me, Scrim was not counting those minions because he should have been running back much faster if he had been counting them.
Yeah, definitely something you have to take into an account for, while also not getting a tongue twister for yourself. Sejuani now on the top side of the map, and you actually did see, because Moody started behind there, he did not get a blue buff leash, so he started the Wolves. He did not even get his blue buff camp yet. So he is even further behind at the start of this game, like you said.
Right. Now, an interesting thing is, and I'm not sure if this is what he's doing, but I'm certain Moody saw the video because, he's really smart and he looks up his things. Tarzan actually came up with a new clear of which to start Wolves, and it looks like he's actually following that clear. It's actually something that Tarzan's been using on Nidalee, I know for certain. I'm not sure what other champions is involved because I only watched the video, halfway through because... Of course, I'm lazy and I'm not jungle, so... but I do recognize the path, so I am interested to see if he's going to go more of a full clear route or if he's actually going to prioritize that ganking like I predicted in the first game. Or the first, before the game, I should say, not the first game.
Yeah, and LSG now spotting out the Kazakhs, or at least getting some pings out to identify where he is. They know how to be careful about it. Patty's Wagon, Yuki Bunny, and Boom Hunter in a pretty safe position at the moment. Not to have, don't have to worry about too much yet, but both sides going to try to get vision here as the dragon is coming up very shortly. And now Dark Cat is making his way over, gets a nice knockup from Patty's Wagon. Sindelian tries to get the sleepy bubble trouble and actually forces out the cleanse there. Patty's Wagon got a little nervous.
Yeah, I do think that if he hadn't the cleanse, he actually might have died before Sejuani as a Dark Cat could have got in. So I think that was actually an okay cleanse overall, but definitely is going to mean that the next bubble is pretty much death for Vel'Koz. So that was something I was kind of mentioning is a little worrying about that lane, is that I do think is not a lane that Vel'Koz does very well into, and I think especially if your cleanse is down, that's really bad.
Yeah, now skirmishes between the bot and top lane at the moment. Tonzo's putting a lot of pressure on the Ratload right now. And has a pretty good CS lead at the moment. Tonzo going to hopefully force those waves under the turret so Ratload loses a couple CS. And now the Infernal Dragon is going to be the first dragon up. Both sides going to have to prioritize that immensely. And with Moody trying out this new jungle pathing, I don't know if enough about it, so you're going to be able to tell the chat more about how that's going to work out for Moody. You already did tell a little bit about it, but I think with the way it's going for Moody, Infernal Dragon's looking good.
So it's supposed to be, according to Tarzan at least, the strongest jungle path overall for, this... he said this season, but I'm going to say this patch because they're changing Scuttle Crab, with that... nerf that's going to make it to 3:15 minutes spawn time, which I honestly don't know why, because the jungle's kind of already in a really painful state enough, but it's supposed to get out a pretty heavy farm lead, and actually Kazakhs was actually behind in farm for a decent amount, and it seems like he's actually surpassed the Sejuani. As you can see, he's actually full cleared his full jungle, and now is actually a little bit in Sejuani's side. Probably just checking though, because he was assuming by the tracking of the jungler that she was bot side coming top next, so that the jungle would already be up. So far I would say it's actually caught Moody back up. Obviously, he should actually be behind in CS still, but excellent pathing by him. He is a jungler that can change his pathing. We do see some fighting in the top side.
Yeah, gets himself in a bad spot. Baboon Hunter lands a nice bind onto Scrim. Scrim has to use the cleanse to get away there. And Moody was still able to clear out the top side jungle of Dark Cats and then get out freely. So definitely a win for him. Tanzo putting a lot of damage onto Ratload. But now that Scrim doesn't have his cleanse and he still has to stay to try to defend this turret a little bit longer, it's going to be difficult for him to decide whether or not he wants to look to stay and help Paradox try to clear out these waves or just back himself. But I think Paradox will be able to hold it. Oh, wow. Actually, a lot of damage out from Yuki Bunny there. Putting a lot of pressure onto Recon 5's bot lane at the moment. And you know, with LSG having the pressure right now, definitely gives the advantage towards LSG to gain control of this dragon now. And Yuki Bunny is going to use that teleport to keep the pressure up. They know that Paradox is going to use the teleport to get back to lane, but R5 Scrim is not going to be there. Dark Cat now going to look for something onto Sandillion, gets a nice knock up. Sandillion's going to have to flash away. Dark Cat's not going to follow that up. Patty's swinging a little too far behind to follow anything, but still, very key summoner spell for that mid laner.
Yeah, so what the call here is that bot lane is getting super pushed in. They're super far behind from that first blood. They just got poked out. So what's going to happen is that that Infernal Dragon is actually pretty important. You don't want to usually let those go. If it was maybe like an air dragon or like a mountain in particular, you could kind of say it's not important to like risk a fight over. But Infernal is definitely not something you ever want to let a late game team have. It's kind of like extra insurance almost to make sure that they definitely don't lose. So what was happening was Sandillion was looking to push in that wave because bot lane had priority, and he was roaming down to start clearing out some wards, getting a little extra priority through the bot mid lane where the Baron obviously sets, or Baron the dragon obviously sets. And of course Dark Cat reading this headed over early, got out that flash. Those little mechanics are definitely what you can see from good teams. Those are small things I think that can lead to bigger outcomes. And it's the same reason why Sejuani right here is sitting in the bottom bush, because again they're trying to get something going bot lane to get the dragon. So
yeah, and now LSG is just using ult after ult onto Scrim. Scrim tries to flash away, but he doesn't have the ability to get out. Paradox getting very low. Dark Cat and Boom Hunter taking a lot of damage from turret, but that is going to be very helpful for LSG when they want to look for this Infernal Dragon. Moody making his way down. There are two members of LSG who are very low here, so Moody was seeing if he could get something out of it, but just going to be able to clear out some vision for his team. And Recon 5 is looking pretty good here, at least for the Dragon, and it looks like Moody's actually going to decide to start it here. Boom Hunter and Yuki Bunny sitting in the brush. Going to go on to Paradox. Paradox flashes away, uses the ultimate, and is just going to keep Yuki Bunny and Boom Hunter down here in the bot lane while Moody's going to be able to steal this dragon away.
Yeah, so there was actually, I think, two big mistakes, though, that... Oh, we got some fighting in the mid lane.
Nice in the mid lane. Oh, Sandillion almost gets taken down. Patty's wagon with the geometry, but does not land. He does get the flash to kill Sandillion. Tanzo's now in the mid lane, follows it up with his ultimate, gets a nice micro stun, and misses the E, but Moody's there to clean up the kill for them. Now that is a kill for Patty's wagon, but gets himself taken down by the jungler for R5. And that's 1 kill for R5 and 3 kills for LSG. But that Infernal Dragon is something that's going to be a game changer later on in this game.
Yeah, so I think LSG actually made two big mistakes, really. I mean, they're the same mistake, but two people made it. So the Dark Cat and Boom Hunter both went under turret. For Sivir wasn't very a good idea. I mean, you're not gonna catch her. She's pretty much safe, right? But they both took tower shots there, making it pretty much too low for them to actually get Dragon, because mid had priority and Moody was hovering bot side. I'm not certain they knew for sure that Moody was bot side, but it's definitely usually a pretty good guess, because obviously Infernal's up. You don't want he's not gonna just give it away for free, right? So basically what ended up happening was because they took those tower shots, they weren't healthy enough to contest the dragon, and Moody got it for free.
Yeah, and now Moody taking a little bit of damage by Dark Cat. Dark Cat trying to look for something onto Moody, but now back in the bot lane, Yuki Bunny doing a lot of damage to Scrim. Scrim, however, does have the shield up, so he's going to be able to soak some damage for himself before taking too much. And now on the top side, Dark Cat misses the ultimate wide. Tanzo is going to get pinned down right now, but he has the shroud to try to get away. Moody's on the other side. Gets the stun on the Tanzo. Tanzo flashes on over, but he's still going to be taken down. 2 flashes from LSG, and now Moody's going to have to flash away. Very well played there by LSG, and now back on the bot side of the map, the pressure is still coming in from LSG. Moody's going to try to turn something around for his team. Dark Cat in the bad situation, but still takes the kill.
Yeah, so like we were talking about earlier with the Camille, even though I don't think like the Camille pick is overall per se great after 6, the one thing she does have is that ult. The ult does, and if he ults while he's in Shroud, it makes it pretty hard for Tanzo to get out. Because he has to pretty much wait for it to to dissipate before he can leave, which is really bad for Akali. And Sejuani, though not a better jungler one-on-one with Kha'Zix, is a better 2v2 jungler in both lanes. So right there, even though Moody went for the 1v1, couldn't get the win there. I do think that going for the 2v2 is extremely hard if one of them is not seriously low ahead of time.
Yeah, it's Endilion getting some poke damage onto Patty's Wagon there in the mid lane, and now Moody's making his way down onto the bot lane. Moody did ping that the ward was there, and so they may look for something pretty soon down here in the bot side. They do have the control ward down, and they have the bot lane river completely secured for R5 right now. Dark Cat is on the bottom side of the map. He's at his red buff at the very moment, but Moody trying to look for something, but decides he's going to walk away here. Can't look for too long as Herald is up, and that's something that both teams are going to watch out for. And I have to give credit to R5 here. The amount of vision that they have in both sides of the map in the river is a lot greater than LSG at the moment.
Yeah, so Gnarly Gnar is one of those coaches in particular that will stress warding of all lanes. So if you notice especially that Scrim and even the jungler and Tanzo all have like a little bit of a lead on their warding with vision coverage, So it is something that Gnarly definitely highly watches over. And if you actually look, there's a lot of vision wards out too. Like it's more than I would say most teams in this elo. Even more than the side of LSG, which definitely I think obviously this is the reason why you have vision wards. Get vision wards, guys, please.
In the mid lane, Syndillion flashes forward to try to get something on Patty's Wagon, but Patty's Wagon is going to be taken down to 10% HP on the bot side of the map. Dark Cat now going to be pushing out this bot lane turret with Yuki Bunny. They're going to get the first turret of the game here. Yuki Bunny has about a 23 CS lead and 2 kills over this ADC for R5. Bot lane of LSG is looking pretty good here. Next Dragon is going to be coming up very soon. I can't tell. Mountain Dragon is going to be the next one. Both sides going to definitely have to prioritize this. And it just seems like a little skirmish back and forth up in the top lane at the moment. Syndillion, though, in that mid lane, putting a lot of pressure on the Patty's Wagon. And Patty's Wagon seems very comfortable on that Vel'Koz, but like you said earlier on, Zoe can be pretty troublesome for Vel'Koz.
Yeah, actually, I think so. If you look, you can notice that Zoe has about a 25-ish CS lead, almost pretty close to it. It's like 23. And I think strangely enough, her going the cleanse has actually, in the early game at least, not been very helpful. Obviously, the cleanse she's taking for the later game. She's not taking it for laning phase. But I think if you were going for laning phase, this that Ignite in particular would have been super strong. It is pretty worrying though for Recon, because now that the bot lane is out of bot lane, they get to roam around the map, and there's not a lot of there's nobody who can really match him yet. Sivir doesn't exactly have a full item, which means she's not clearing waves super fast even with her W, or at least not to the rate that Ashe can in Morgana. So definitely going to be a note is how well this bot lane pushes their lead, because I do think that for mid game they are on a clock, and the mid game
now going to jump in on the Patty's Wagon. Patty's Wagon takes so much damage and gets taken down. Scrim is able to eat Moody away from that Ashe arrow, and that is going to be a free kill for R5. And Patty's Wagon flashed away on that one as well.
Yeah, I think I'm actually a little behind you because I didn't even see that one coming. So,
press the plus button to get it forward.
Oh, I got you.
All right.
We're here now. We're great. But yeah, excellent play by Moody. Definitely a good, for Vel'Koz, without the flash, you are extremely weak, and there's too many assassins for you to be making that kind of movement. So, excellent play by Moody. Definitely good read. I would say bad ult by Yuki Bunny though, because he's gonna get out with Tahm Kench right there. So this actually gives him a little bit of a time.
Dark Cat looking for something on a Moody. Moody's gonna have to flash away from that one. Almost a bad position for Moody. He did have to use the summoner spell to get away, but yeah, very well done by R5. They are able to pick up the mid lane turret with that Herald as well. And now Ratload's in the mid lane, gets blocked by Paradox, but I got Scrim as well, just doing pretty good at when one of his allies gets jumped on or jumps into the enemy backline, he's able to just eat them up and take them away. Definitely something that R5 is using to their advantage. And now it does seem like both sides have swapped out lanes. Top laners are now going to the bottom side of the map, and it looks like Ashe Morgana are going to move or make their way to the mid lane here, and Yuki Bunny is going to be able to CS freely in the mid lane without a problem, and Patty's Wagon can keep that pressure up with no problem.
Yeah, so I actually would have considered going top lane for the side of LSG, only because that would have been, I think, where you can get the most pressure currently, since they don't have a tower in mid lane. So as you can see, actually, they ended up making that switch anyways, but that's where I would go next for bot lane. No, that doesn't mean you always have to. I mean, that's the common switch, but I think in this case, the reason you go top lane is because there's a tower to protect you, and even with Morgana, you still need some protection against that team from Recon 5.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now LSG is actually going to place themselves on the top side of the map with Dark Cat here. He's going to be spotted out. Scrim and Paradox now walking right up to him. Dark Cat realizes it, jumps away, but does seem like there may be a fight up here. Zendilion pushing up the mid lane wave, forcing Patty's Wagon back. Now 4 members of R5 can make their way up, and the rest of LSG is trying to look for something here. Bind does miss. Dark has taken a little bit of damage, down to about half HP here. Moody's going to jump on over. Paradox, he needs ultimate now. They're going to try to go on in. Tahm Kench is all in. Exhaust has been used on Moody. Scrim now uses the cleanse to get himself away. Paradox gets low. Very nice ultimate there from Yuki Bunny. Going to turn that fight around. Teleport is in. Ratload once more. Moody is not going to get locked down by Boom Hunter, but is going to be locked down by Ratload. Scrim trying to save his jungler for as long as possible. Ratload's going to go back on in. Teleport's coming in from Tanzo. He gets bound up. See if he gets taken down, but it looks like the rest of LSG is going to try to look for a little bit more. Zendilion now is on his way. Boom Hunter is going to be taken down. Tanzo is going to jump on in and try to get him out, but getting himself in a dangerous position. Yuki Bunny is doing a lot of damage. Zendilion flashes over the wall. Yuki Bunny is going to be taken down. Does not flash on over. Moody now is going to jump over the wall and get himself another kill. A long, long fight that ended with Patty's Wagon, the only one left for LSG, and a lot of deaths for R5.
Yeah, so somehow I will give Recon 5 credit. They actually turned this around. It actually should have went a lot worse, because this is something that I know is taught to most teams here. I'm not going to say most all teams here. It's not a pick if you actually can't kill them very fast. That was not a pick. They were pretty much chasing, and when that happens, especially when a Vel'Koz is coming over, you usually get turned around. This is the team that can turn around easily with that Ashe Arrow and the Sejuani. There's too many things they can turn around with them. They have to be very patient in their when they're doing these types of engages. So for R5, I think they actually got a little lucky that LSG ironically did the same thing back and chased back. Because if LSG had a little more demeanor and had stopped there, I think actually they would have just came out with the victorious trade and probably could have pushed their lead in a lot of areas, but instead, at least kill-wise, ended up being in favor of Recon 5. But obviously, the tower plus the only 1 kill difference is probably overall the favor of LSG.
Yeah, now LSG is going to be pushing out the mid lane wave. Recon 5 got the second Infernal. Scrim's going to be locked down by 2 ultimates. Boom Hunter gets very low. He does pick up the kill onto Scrim. Tanzo's trying to look for something onto Boom Hunter. Boom Hunter gets low, gets taken down. Tanzo's still stunned up, but gets himself away. That is going to be a 1-for-1, both supports being taken down. And I think R5 are going to deal so much more damage in these fights with that double Infernal, but they still have to worry, like you said, with Yuki Bunny and Patty's Wagon being able to disengage and then re-engage with that Ash Arrow is something R5 is going to have to worry about in these fights. But yeah, very well played up in the top lane to turn that fight around for themselves. And you saw Paradox getting a little aggressive. He thought he could play a little safe. You have the Tahm Kench with you, just have him eat you up and then get away. But it didn't happen the way they wanted to, and gets taken down, and the nice turnaround from them afterwards. But now Moody making his way on down. Ratload and Tonzo are going to look for a 2v1 play here. Ratload gets so low and now taken down by Moody, just destroying the LSG top laner.
Yeah, so I think for this game in particular, because even in the last fight when it went 1-for-1 for support, well, we do see a little bit of fighting here, but when it went 1-for-1 for support, LSG did get that, middle turret, which is actually kind of important. It does open up the map, and especially now LSG has all first-tier turrets. But with that in mind, I think this game is going to be a lot harder for them when Sivir gets, as I'm assuming, a static shiv or some kind of wave clear item, because she's really the only wave clear for Recon 5. For sure.
But now in the top lane, Paradox jumps a little too far forward. Ash Arrow is going to miss. Scrim now going to try to turn this fight around. Eats up Yuki Bunny, getting him very low. Paradox gets exhausted, but it doesn't matter. Now Boom Hunter's in a dangerous situation. Moody's going to be able to pick up the kill for R5 and turn that around. And Paradox looked like he wasn't looking at his screen. It kind of looked like he was looking at the item shop and walked right into Yuki Bunny, but Arrow missed Paradox, and seemed like a really bad situation for LSG after that happened.
Yeah, it's ironically, I think that's one of those plays that you put in the all chat and say calculated, because it made no sense how,
Wow, and now in the bot lane, Tonzo with a beautiful 1v1 takes down Ratload.
Yeah, so this is the strength of this comp, is that you have the assassins, so in a 1v1 situation, you're probably going to lose. And Tonzo was only 1-2 at the time, right? So it wasn't like he was, although he does have a massive CS lead, as Tonzo definitely does, but in 1v1 situations, especially even though Camille is generally pretty good at those, I would say you have to be very careful, and you definitely can't just walk up greedily as Camille did. And I think this is LSG so far. This game has kind of been the story, is they're making good overall team fight plays as their strengths. They're making good objective pushes. We do see some fighting.
Nice bubble there onto Boom Hunter, but Boom Hunter counteracts it with the dark, or not the dark shield, the black shield. Continue, man. Sorry, cut you out there.
No, it's okay.
The fight was gonna break out. Moody and Darkcat, however, are in the mid lane. Darkcat may want to look for something, but both sides right now just trying to keep control of that Baron to make sure that either side is not doing it at the moment. But yeah, with the way that played out in the top lane, and then that fight 1v1 in the bot lane, it's looking pretty good for Recon 5. Ash Arrow is in. I think it did miss, and the rest of R5 is going to try to get away there. That Ash Arrow, I think, was trying to get onto Moody. And, a lot of damage from Sindillion onto Yuki Bunny. Yuki Bunny's going to have to back off here, down to 25% HP, and has to be careful. The fact that R5 has Moody and Sindillion still there, going to try to get towards him. But now Tonzo's going to pick up a turret for R5 on the opposite side of the map. LSG now gonna have to decide on what they want to do here. They're gonna look to push up forward. Sindillion now gets himself in a really bad position, gets locked up. Bound is down. Scrim uses his stomach to flash away with Sindillion there, and now the rest of LSG is gonna clear out this vision with no problem, as Sindillion has no cleanse, and now Scrim with no flash.
Yeah, so this is going to have to be very careful for... Actually, Scrims, he's going to have to be the one to be careful in this one, ironically. Like I said, I think LSG's team fight is really, really good. But right now, they're just getting split across the map, and it's making it really hard for them to actually accomplish anything.
Now in the top lane, Moody just destroys Patty's Wagon, flashes on over, and LSG's going to be able to pick up the second Mountain Dragon. Second Mountain Drake, wow. And now Tonzo has been spotted out. R5 is going to try to look for something. Darkcat is now put in a sleepy situation. Tonzo jumps on forward, gets a kill on the Yuki Bunny. Tonzo gets taken very low, but has the Zonias at hand. Keeps himself alive. Paradox picks up a kill on the Ratload. They turn that fight into something bigger, and now R5 could look at this Baron.
Yeah, So it actually was very well played by LSG. They went for that, the fight, or I'm sorry, not the fight, the dragon. The problem is as we talked about earlier, it's not a pick if you don't kill him very fast. And they did see Tanzo, so that should have been, number one to get out. In a 4v4, they're probably not winning because they do need the full 5, I think, to actually be effective in a lot of their team fights. And the mid game is in Recon 5's favor. So we do see probably Dragons going to go over almost uncontested to Recon 5. And this is actually now Recon 5 is on the clock, I think, because even though they do have that double Infernal and the Sivir late game is insanely strong, as well as obviously the burst from Zoe. And we do get that pause, so I got a little extra second here. You will have to, as Recon 5, you have to end in this mid game. The longer the game goes, it's going to be very hard to outsplit the LSG, because as usually in a split push, you need objectives to kind of threaten. The only objectives the LSG really have left are those inhibitor towers. So it's going to be a lot harder to without a lot of coordination, which to be fair, Recon 5 has done very well in the past, but it's going to be much harder to coordinate the split push pressure with those inhib turrets than, say, a second tier 2 bot lane turret. So I do think that Recon 5 is a little bit on a timer, and this Baron has to be used effectively, and you probably at least have to have one inhib for Recon 5 to look like they can end this game. If not, LSG is still in this game, and definitely with a good team fight can come back.
All right. I like this man. He brings in way more facts than I could ever. Oh my goodness. I'm learning as the rest of the chat is learning as well. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. He's better at color casting than me. All right, now we have LSG and R5 just reset. At the moment, LSG did have that fight, which caused them to lose the Baron to R5. And yeah, going later into this game, R5 is gonna have to do a couple of things to secure the victory for themselves here. And with LSG having those 2 Mountain Drakes, definitely is going to be something that can be devastating for R5 if they get picked off here and there.
Yeah, so that's what I think I'm looking for currently, is for LSG to look for those picks. I actually haven't seen very many successful, and a lot of that is due to the fact that we have Tahm Kench. Now, I don't know if LSG's normal styles pick, and the coaches did their homework and were like, hey, we probably should get a Tahm Kench so they can't pick us. Or if this is just, the fact that Gnarly and Flibble had come up with this draft as a security belt for the team comp. But, yeah, so far it's been very hard for, I think, LSG to get picks. And since they're getting split across the map, it's really hard, I think, for them to actually do much, even though early on they looked pretty good.
Yeah, and then Yuki Bunny right there missed the Ash area, wanted to look on to get something to Moody. And Moody was able to jump away, but now Tanzo on the opposite side of the map just keeps the pressure up. Has been able to get that bot lane turret to about 45% HP. The rest of R5 pushing out the top lane at the very moment. It's going to be a 4v5 here if the LSU decide to look for something, and now they're on to Scrim. Uses the cleanse to get himself away. Sindillion is on the opposite side of the wall. That is going to be a 3v5. Scrim uses the... Oh, wait, this fight is going to be turned around. R5 is going to be able to get in under the back line. Tanzo now is going to get the Ash for himself, and the rest of R5 slowly but surely is going to be able to pick up the kills for the ace in this game. R5 going to be able to close this one out.
Yeah, so, when we went to pregame, we talked about how I think R5 has a comp that is a lot more against LSG's win conditions. I do think, and strangely enough, I don't even think it's because R5 is per se superior player-wise. I just think that their style, like between the two teams, like R5 wants to usually split you out around the map, and LSG wants to take those team fights. That's where LSG really shines, and LSG is going to have a lot of tough times, I think, with R5 because they're going to have to play a style that I don't know how they play on, because a lot of most teams generally default to the team fight style. So I do think though that game in particular, you have to obviously look at Moody. I mean, Moody took over a lot of that game after like the mid game round. That's where I said that I thought they would kind of turn it on, and then Tanzo actually had a huge lead in that top lane. I mean, he had like a massive, almost actually he did. He had 100 CS over Ratload by the end of the game. So when your win conditions of the splitting of the other team as an LSG, so when you're able to outsplit them with a comp that particularly does well with a split, it definitely is going to make it very hard. And I think Tanzo and Moody being super strong this game made it nearly impossible for LSG to actually win, even with their early game lead.
All right, and with that being finalized here, Game 1 was taken by Recon 5. Did very well. It seemed very in the favor of LSG early on, but then Recon 5 was able to turn the game around for them. Will Recon 5 be able to secure themselves as the #1 team in the Champions League for longer, or will LSG be able to take them down like they took Fruition down last week? We will get back into Game 2 very shortly. We're going to go into intermission. Stay tuned.
Retreating, so you won't have to hurt, no. I've known this power that's inside, like 1,000 tears fall from the sky, but we won't get caught in mistakes of mine. I'll give you everything, 'cause you get the best. You say it's meant to be.
All right, now we're going to get ourselves one step closer into Game 2 of this series. If you didn't see and just joined in, Recon 5 took up the first game, LSG, making it a very close game, however. There's a couple things LSG is going to have to do here, and I was deafened for Pretty Boy there on the start of that intro, but Pretty boy, what do you think LSU's got to do here to come back into this series to make this go on to a game 3?
Oof. Okay. This is actually going to be kind of hard, I think, because. So I think what you're going to have to do if you're LSG, and this is going to sound a little weird, but I think you're going to have to find a winning lane team comp, or at least a majority of winning lanes, obviously, because you're never going to get all 3 unless the other team just gets out drafted. But at least a majority winning lane team comp of which can also team fight. That will make it so that the win conditions of the split push comp that I would assume Recon 5 is going to do again, because again, that's where I think LSG has been weak in. You're gonna have to make sure that the ones that can split push are not able to. If you can do that, then you'll be able to force objectives. The problem last game was not that they, besides the fact that obviously they never had the time to team fight because they were getting split, but the problem is that the win conditions for Recon 5 of being able to split were able to completely do so without being contested. If you are to beat them with a team fight comp and a comp that actually beats you like the split push comp will, I think it's extremely necessary to have the lanes win into those split push conditions. So for LSG, my suggestion is to have some winning lanes early, like at least 2 of the 3 of the main lanes, of course. Besides, I'm not talking about jungle, but you get the point. 2 of the 3, main lanes to win, and that will also be good into team fight, which is their strengths. So that's where I think LSG comes back.
All right. Now it seems as R5 and LSG both have got themselves set up for the pro draft here. We're going to get ourselves into the pro draft very shortly here. But one of the things that I wanted to note about that last game, and I really liked, was that Akali pick for Tanzo up in that top lane. He seemed very confident on it and was able to get a pretty significant CS lead on it. Against Ratload there, shutting him down and making that Camille almost useless for LSG. It seemed like the rest of the map for LSG was definitely strong enough to hold their own, but when it came down to Tanzo and Ratload making their way into these fights, got a little bit more difficult for LSG.
Yeah, so I do think that at least last game, to me, the Camille ended up being, pretty far behind, which made her fairly useless. I actually thought that Dark Cat played it really well. Like his early ganks were really effective. Like he came top, if you remember, and killed Tanzo early with Ratload, but it just never was enough to actually put any of them ahead. So I'm not really sure if you can say whose fault that is, because obviously it's a team game, but I do think that, for as well as Rattler's been playing this season, he's going to have to, if he's getting those type of leads early, you can't let those go. Not into a comp that, again, if you get out split by, that's going to be the death of you, right? So I think this game, Ratload is the one to watch. If he steps up, especially, and can maybe even match Tanzo, this will be a lot harder of a game for Recon 5 to win. But obviously LSG is no pushover. I mean, they have taken very many good teams to 2-1, and I would expect them to do the same here.
Yeah, and last game we had the comfort pick for Paddy's Wagon on that Vel'Koz, and actually did get himself a solo kill onto Sandillion with that Zoe. So maybe there's a chance that R5 bans that out, or they could look to grab the Vel'Koz once again. But now the pick and ban phase has begun, and we'll make our way on over.
Yeah, so actually, if I would be honest, I will be surprised if Lakeside Gaming let Zoe through twice. I know he wasn't super effective with it last game, but I do think for Vel'Koz, if Zoe had prioritized lane, I don't think this game would have been as close as it was, even in last game, in the early game. His Vel'Koz definitely was very good, though. Obviously, like we said, game 1, before the game started, and there is that Zoe ban, that I can't imagine a world where Vel'Koz comes out on top no matter how good he is, and it seemed like even though he was doing super well, he never was ahead enough to actually make enough of a difference, except for that one fight, I think, where Recon 5 had chased too far, but then LSG did the same thing back. But we do see the Hecarim, actually, from Recon 5, and I think Hecarim right now is one scary jungler. I mean, that guy he has some pretty decent pathing. He pretty much comes into any lane, and it's not like he needs a flash to make himself effective. So he can pretty much run into any lane, and if any lane's overextended and you see him coming in, I mean, that's pretty much just death, no matter who's in that lane. So definitely, I think a really good pickup, and I think he's super strong, and we'll have to see how well. I assume Moody's going to play it, but I have seen him in the top side too, as in top lane.
Yeah, Moody on the Hecarim or even Tanzo, but it doesn't seem like Tanzo is the kind of player who is more who likes to play the Hecarim top lane. He has his more comfort picks. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Recon 5 decided to grab the Aatrox for themselves up in the top lane. Maybe hold on to that later for the later part of the pick and ban phase for Tanzo. But one thing that I also want to point out is Riven is not banned.
Yeah, so obviously people know about Tanzo's Riven. I would be a little surprised. I feel like if your Lakeside's kind of baiting it out, because there's no way that they could have just forgotten about it. And I imagine they would have prioritized the Riven ban over that Pyke. So I have to imagine that if they are baiting Recon 5 to pick the Riven, which is why you haven't seen it yet. That's just my guess. Because I respect Lakeside, and I know that they think things through most of the time. So so I think that's kind of why they did it, but we'll have to see, obviously. I would say I do agree. I would be surprised to see Tanzo play at top, but there is actually some surprise picks, and even some that people forgot about. Like last season, Sindelian actually used to flex the Aatrox with Tanzo. So I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if they have a couple extra flex picks that I haven't even realized they have yet, and that might be one of them is the Hecarim and actually that Aatrox. I would not be surprised to see if the Aatrox did come out being a flex between the mid and the top.
Yeah, now Recon 5 going for the comfortable picks once again for Paradox and Scrim. The Sivir Tom Kench grabbed up, and Lakeside Gaming now having the Jinx Morgana's going to be in the bot lane with the Sejuani. Both teams grabbed their bot lane and jungles here, so now the last bans to go out are going to be for the top laners and the junglers. Riven and Kennen already being banned out here. Now Lakeside Gaming still has one more ban left. They could focus on Tanzo up in the top lane, but they may have to focus on Moody and making sure that he doesn't get a comfortable jungler. Kindred is definitely a jungler that's still up and Moody is good at. Jarvan, something else that we've seen many times before and would go pretty well, but Kali, you're going to take away that Kali from Tanzo once again, and I think I misspoke there. Hecarim has been grabbed, so that is probably going to be Moody's pick. I meant to say the mid laner Sindelian's pick. Sindelian still has it open now. He doesn't get the Akali, but he does have a lot wider range. You still have LeBlanc, you still have the Lissandra, you still have the Orianna. Curious to see what they're going to go for.
Yeah, so I think what Recon 5 is doing right now is they're waiting to see who is, and one of the two is going to get a counter pick into the other, right? Because as Red said, you have to pick one here. So they're kind of one of the lanes is going to get that counter pick. If I'm Lakeside Gaming, do not let Tanzo get that pick. You have to, if it's one of the two, make sure that is not Tanzo, because again, you did not do very well last time into it. So. But unfortunately, that's probably going to be an Urgot top, and they're going to ignore my advice on this one. We're going to have to see what Recon 5 has up their sleeve for it.
Alright, yeah. And Recon 5 now, because they're on the blue side, they're going to have to grab their last two picks before Lakeside gets to choose their mid laner here. Recon 5 still have the opportunity for the Lissandra pick and Orianna. Aurelia being shown. Tanzo is a very strong player on that Aurelia, and I've seen Sindelian, I believe, play Aurelia once before. So that is something that Lakeside Gaming is going to have to watch out for. Recon 5, 20 seconds left for their final pick of the second game of the series. And, it could go either way, mid or top.
So yeah, people actually don't realize this, and I realize they haven't flexed too much, and actually I think we're not going to see it this game either, because the Orianna is being picked, so I assume that's not going to be Orianna top for whatever reason. My inclination tells me. So I have sources, I promise. Actually, when we first picked up Sindelian, that was actually quite a while ago. I guess that was probably October of 18, so it's been a while. Maybe even the month before that, September. So it's been a bit of time. Syndillion, this was the time when Aurelia was actually more of a mid laner than top laner. Syndillion was actually really, really good, like his Aurelia. Like that was probably his best champion at the time. So definitely, even though they didn't flex it here, I'm hoping eventually that we will see Syndillion pick it up, as in take it out and show that actually Tanzo's not the only Aurelia player on the team. There's actually another good one just kind of hiding in the lurks. So.
Yeah, for sure. And now, Lakeside Gaming's mid laner, Patty's Wagon, is going to grab another comfort pick for himself in this series, which is that Azir. He does like to play the Azir. He's shown it off before, and it has done fairly well for him, but there's a couple of times where we've seen the Azir in the Champions League, and it just falls apart in that early stages of the game and is not able to scale back up in the later ends, especially up against a mid laner such as like Orianna. And one of their mid laner I've seen Azir go up against in the Champions League was a Corki, and after lost that mid lane early game, was not able to come back. So we'll see what Patty's Wagon is able to do with that Azir, but I'm liking where Recon 5 and Lakeside Gaming are going with these team comps.
Yeah, so I actually think there's two, big problems that I think Lakeside might have put themselves into again. So I actually don't like the Azir into Orianna matchup. I do think, so here's the reason why, and I think, I did teach this to Syndillion once, I don't know if he does this, but if you don't at home, this is definitely you should do. So what you do is you put your E on a different button, as in like the self-cast to yourself E, and what you'll do is the combination, of course, everyone knows is QWE, right? That's the very basic combination for Orianna. If you put the self-cast E, it makes that combination very, very fast. Like you will get that combination out with almost no reaction time from the other player. So with that in mind, I do think that, with Azir, he'll try to poke you down to the soldiers, there we go. And Orianna has a shield, what makes it really hard for Azir to actually kill her. So that's kind of a big problem, I think, for Azir. So I think 2 games in a row, Patty's Wagon has actually kind of countered himself here, and that's a little worrying. The second thing is that, again, we see that they picked a full team fight comp. I guess Urgot does have, a decent amount of split push pressure, much like last game Camille did too. But if he doesn't win this Aurelia matchup, which, to be fair, he should, but with champions at least, he should win, but if Aurelia does come up on top, I think you're going to see a very similar to last game. I think, LSG went all for that late game and no true winning lanes. And if they get out pushed again, I mean, this is going to be, I think, the same result. I mean, it's very similar comp from Recon 5 from last game. But the other thing is, it's also a very similar comp from LSG last game too. And last game didn't go super well in the mid game, and they don't really have a mid game to back them up, especially if that Urgot's behind. That's what I'm worried for LSG. So I guess there's 2 things. You have to see LSG get ahead early for them to be successful, or Recon 5 to sleep on their advantages. And I am kind of wondering which one's going to show up first.
All right, and something you said about last game was the fact that Moody was able to get a couple successful ganks up on the top side of the map and get Tanzo, or excuse me, no, sorry, I was looking at the blue side of the map. Dark Cat on that Sejuani was able to get a kill onto Tanzo with Rat Load and be a pretty helpful start to for Rat Load against Tanzo on that Akali, but kind of went downhill later on in this game. Do you think because you just said Urgot has the advantage against the Aurelia up in the top lane, Dark Cat being able to kind of consider that lane the one that they want to look for when it comes to ganking early on? And also, one of the things that I've just noticed is that Sejuani does not have a melee champion to work with here.
Yeah, so basically there's a couple things. I think this game is a little different in 2 areas. So as we talked about last game, for the mid lane, you have to look at mid lane as a 2v2, right? It's not a 1v1 as most people look at it. Top lane's kind of similar too, though top lane's a little more on an island, so I guess it's kind of like a 1.5. It's a little weird because it is somewhat a 1v1, but obviously usually a jungler is going to come to try to swing it, right? So which isn't always the case with mid, because mid is like, if you're doing invade, getting invaded, mid's the first one who's going to usually respond. So When you're looking at the mid lane and jungle matchup this game, actually Recon 5's 2v2 I think is better than the Azir and Sejuani. Especially early game. Obviously after 6 it changes a little bit because the Azir has his wall and the Sejuani ult. But even still, early game I would say 2v2 is actually in the favor of Moody, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see him abuse that. With that in mind, the Urgod's very good into AD champions, so with 2v2 top as in Hecarim and Irelia versus Sejuani and Urgot, I actually think that LSG has the advantage there. So, with that in mind, I would not be surprised if you do see Dark Cat, as you said, show up in the top lane and try to swing it. And if you are Dark Cat, I think that's actually your job, because if Ratlow does get behind again, that's going to be a very big problem. You can't have it 2 games in a row where top lane Tanzo is ahead by 100 CS. So, and I have seen Ratlow play that Urgot, and he's actually pretty good at it. So I'm expecting this game that if he gets ahead, he's not going to just give it away like he did last game.
Yeah, now this game, something else that has changed. Both ADCs are going to be taking heal instead of that teleport this time. And you said last game, and like we saw, the bot lanes were going to be very passive and make sure that they focus on getting the CS. But now that the heal is up and you have Moody on this Hecarim, could be a little bit more devastating for LSG's bot lane. And, well, as well, Sejuani being a very, very successful early game gank. For any composition. So
hey, so basically, yeah, with I think the difference is this game between last game is Ashe is something that she can like W and slow you and make it very hard for you to ever really catch up to her. Especially for Sivir, even with that spell shield, you're probably not going to get on her very easily. Jinx is a little different. Jinx, you have traps, so traps are obviously pretty coordinated and easy to dodge, and especially you have to lay the traps right, because obviously there's a lot of ways to mess up those traps as easy as a spell you think they are. So that's kind of why I assume, at least for Jinx, she went the heal. Now for Sivir, for Paradox, I actually disagree. I would have went the teleport here, because again, you're pretty safe here. They're not going to really, they should never reach on you. I do think last game, obviously, yes, you did have a lot of problems in lane, but the reason you didn't just completely get obliterated after those early kills was because you had that teleport and you weren't that far behind as much as you would be if you had heal. So if I was Paradox, I actually personally would have went teleport here. But with that in mind, I completely understand why he went heal. And this game, I think, instead of being a straight farm fest, you're probably going to see a lot more skirmishes from both bots.
all right, and with that being finalized, we have gone past the spectators delay and we are getting into game number 2 of this series between LSG and Recon 5. Recon 5, as you saw, took home game 1, now trying to solidify themselves as the number 1 team in the Champions League with a 6-0 score, hopefully at the end of the series for them, but LSG trying to take them down and reverse sweep this series here.
Yeah, this is definitely, again, I respect LSG really heavily. I mean, I think they deserve that throughout the season. They've done really well, and being 4-1 is nothing to scoff at. Especially beating Fruition. I mean, like, that is a team that even us have, or as an us, I mean Recon 5 has had plenty of our troubles beating them. So I know them all too well, and that is definitely not something you can ever, scoff at or just kind of push to the side. With that in mind, I'm not surprised to see this little invade. They do have like 2 separate things that could easily catch someone out. So, and Tanzo didn't get the ward up top, so he's going to have to be careful, but it looks like they will be spotted out before they ever get the invade off.
Yeah, Moody and Tanzo just gonna back off here. Ratlow did a little bit of a dance, and that's a pretty early ward there from LSG up on the top side of the map. Won't have as many seconds of vision as they would want early on, but by putting that ward there definitely helps them in case R5 decided they wanted to look for a deep ward on the red buff.
Yeah, so there's actually a couple reasons for this ward, because what they're looking for is not only that counter invade to see if obviously Moody's going to try to do a sticky invade, but also because the scuttle crab early is control of that is extremely important. If you're able to get both scuttle crabs, you pretty much control all vision of river, and it makes it very hard for the other jungler to actually get a successful gank off, because you have to go a very specific path to get to the lanes, of which case all you have to do for those lanes is ward it, and it makes it really hard for pretty much I don't want to say near impossible. Nothing's impossible, but near impossible for players of this caliber to get ganked. So, with that in mind, that ward in particular is not only to see if they're invading, where Moody's probably going to start, because obviously if he's hitting the Scuttle Crab, you know his path early, but also it keeps it so that the jungler, as in this case Hecarim, isn't going for that early Scuttle Crab to hopefully protect your top lane and mid lane from the level 2 or 3.
Yeah, now in the bot lane, Yuki Bunny taking a lot of damage. Paradox is going to be bound by Boom Hunter, but Yuki Bunny's already down to about 30% HP, has used all of his pots to try to get himself back up and healthy. Mid lane, however, Sindeli and Patty doing a little bit of a skirmish back and forth. Tanzo as well with Rat Load. And now Dark Cat was able to take that scuttle on the bottom side of the map. Moody knows that, and they want to make sure that Dark Cat's not going to be able to take that top side one. But up in the top lane, Tanzo gets a lot of damage on the Rat Load now, and Rat Load's down to 25% HP. He's going to have to stay here. He doesn't want to use his teleport this early on in the game. A little bit of a fight back and forth between Sandillion and Patty's Wagon. Seems like every single lane right now has at least one person down to about half or 50% HP. Just like you said would happen in the early skirmishes between both sides.
Yeah, so like I said, bot lane, they went more aggressive with their summoners, so obviously that's kind of where I'm expecting to see a lot of the fights. We do see a little bit of an early binding and some poking, but I think a big note is that Ratload actually took a ton of damage early and had to waste, well, not waste, obviously, because, he would die otherwise, but he had to use all of his pots. So I do think early on that early trade is really going to mess with the Ratload, and I think Tanzo is going to push in here. I don't see a cannon wave up there yet, so it means he's going to have to use the TP, and that means that Recon 5 is going to have that early TP advantage. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a fight around level 4, of which maybe even Tanzo shows up to, and that would give Recon 5 an early game lead, of which actually would be very, very effective against this LSG comp.
Now in the top lane, Tanzo gets Ratload super low. Moody now going to get in a skirmish with Dark Cat. Dark Cat jumping onto Moody, but Moody's just going to be able to get away as Ratload is super low and Tanzo is making his way on over. Very well played there by R5, and it seems like Moody was going to try to steal away some of Dark Cat's, excuse me, had a little bit of a burp there that I didn't want to get out. Dark Cat's jungle camps, but we kind of saw this coming. Tanzo on that Aurelius, definitely something to worry about, and a super strong player on a very strong champion. And Urgot does have the favor in the top lane matchup at the moment, but Tanzo being able to just punish Ratload's every move is going to be devastating for him in the long run. Mountain Dragon is going to be the first one up for both sides. Paradox and the rest of R5 want this Mountain Drag for themselves, as it does go very well with the Sivir and Irelia.
Yeah, so I do want to mention, of course, that we talked about this early game, and I do think this will be a recurring problem, is that if you didn't blind pick, if you did blind pick into Tanzo, well, did you see a fight though?
Yeah, Tanzo now going to get a little skirmish between him and Ratload. Ratload actually doing a lot of damage, but doesn't have the Purge anymore. Has to flash away. He'd already used the Disdain and get himself away. That is no teleport for Ratload. He's going to have to walk back to the lane. He's going to lose a lot of CS here, and Tanzo still has both of his summoner spells up.
Right, so and the interesting thing is top lane that you do see Ratload staying a little bit. This is a cannon wave, so actually, if he was going to leave, this would have been the time to leave, because he wouldn't have lost as much. But now Tanzo has the freedom to stay, kind of pushes advantage. You do see Sejuani up here. Ooh.
Flash on in, and this Disdain misses. Tanzo picks himself up a kill. He does have to use the flash, but it doesn't matter. Dark Cat now on the top side of the map. Tanzo going to try to jump on in. Dark Cat going to get a little bit of damage onto Tanzo. Gets 3 stacks up, 4 stacks now. It stuns up Tanzo. Dark Cat's going to go back in and get a kill onto Tanzo. Not specifically sure what Tanzo was looking for there. Maybe he thought he could kill him and take down Dark Cat, but pretty tanky with that Aftershock in the early part of this game. And with that buff that was given to Sejuani, helps out that early game damage.
Yeah, so I actually think there was a couple actually big mistakes there. From Ratload though, but so there was a cannon minion wave there, which meant he could have probably backed and not lost too much. I mean, he's still going to lose a lot of the wave, probably almost all of it, but he wouldn't have lost like as much as he would have if he had backed earlier. When the cannon wave was coming, because he was still low there, so he could have actually backed way earlier. Instead, he listened to, I assume the jungler made the call. He waited for the jungler to come up. Walk too far. A jungler can't save you that fast, right? He's not 6. So that was kind of a big mistake by Ratload. And I think Tanzo thought he could get a fight in because of the minion wave. But he's just too low. Too many things on cooldown. Definitely disrespected the jungler a little bit, which, again, Dark Cat played pretty well last game and probably shouldn't have done.
In the mid lane, Patty's Wagon used the guards to try to push Sindillion under the turret, but Sindillion flashes away, and looks like the rest of R5 are going to go for this dragon here. They got some deep vision control here, and Boom Hunter jumps on over. Now they know the Baron is being taken by R5, and it doesn't look like LSG can contest it as Dark Cat is up on the top side of this map, and they may want to look for something here onto Tanzo. They know he doesn't have his flash up, and the Fear Beyond Death is still up for Ratload, but Tanzo wisely going to back off here. He had the vision of Dark Cat, and Dark Cat now going to be trading blue buffs with Hecarim.
Yeah, so I guess the big problem here was, even if we might see a fight here, so I will try to keep it short, but I don't know.
Fear Beyond Death misses, and not going to find anything.
Yep. So, okay. So now that that's passed, basically, the problem is that Ratload is too far behind. Even if Dark Cat was on that side of the jungle, it actually would have been in favor for Recon 5 because Tanzo's still sitting on that teleport. And, you know, Ratload doesn't have his teleport for quite a bit of time here. I do think that, again, we talked about it before the game. You cannot let Tanzo get ahead in a comp that counters your comp, especially if he's their win condition. And so far, that's not exactly what's happening. I am worried for LSG because of it. Now, another thing in mind, too, is that, like I said earlier, I think the Orianna does win that matchup mid, so you are seeing the matchup mid go into the favor of the Orianna because of the poke damage. But he did have a good, he did force a flash out, so pretty much Dark Cat should be kind of hovering topside, I think. Unfortunately, Moody's already kind of read this and started clearing out the top side, and now there's not really much for Dark Cat to do. But they will be, well, what usually would happen is he'd get the scuttle, but of course Moody got it before he did. So he's going to probably head to Raptors, I assume, realizing that, nope, he's not. So, yeah, basically, Ratload's a little bit in trouble here. Ratload, I'm sorry. Dark Cat's a little bit in trouble here with his jungle, and actually could be caught out because I think Recon 5 has realized where he's at.
Yeah, now Tanzo's keeping the pressure up in the bot lane. Scrim tried to stop the backs from Yuki and Boom Hunter, but does not get the back stop. Nice ultimate from Sindelian. Teleports coming in from Tanzo. They want to turn this fight around. Patty's Wagon's already down to 25% HP. Cleanse has been used. Barrier has been popped. Patty's Wagon gets a kill for himself. Another teleport comes on down. Ratload is going to try to turn the fight in LSG's favor. Now Tanzo's going to go on in. Moody's going to go towards Patty's Wagon, gets a kill for himself. Rocket is going in, gets blocked by Moody. Then now Scrim is going to get a kill for himself. Tanzo gets another kill, and R5 turned that fight around.
Yeah, so, you know, Sindelian had to have known that the Sejuani was there. I mean, he did ping it out, and I think he was the one who picked it out, because I did see pings coming out from blue side. So, they knew that he was there, so I'm a little surprised that he decided to walk up as far as he did, because obviously the moment you walk a little bit away from tower in that situation, Azir is going to go in, wall you out, and that's what happened. But of course, what happened was Scrim was already on his way there because they had a priority bot from the Sivir.
Oh, Boom Hunter's in. He's going to use the ultimate to try to get the root down. Scrim is going to use both of his summoner spells to get Paradox away from that, but Boom Hunter lands a nice bind on the Paradox. Paradox cannot get away, and that's going to be a kill for LSG.
Yeah, so Paradox, I mean, I think just to narrow it down, he stepped up when he shouldn't have. There is no reason to step up there. I don't think there's really much to say other than that. Was just that you don't step up there. But basically, from the other fight, yeah, the Sivir is going to have that wave advantage with the W. So obviously, Scrim came over, and that turned a numbers fight into Recon, and that's why they ended up winning for that fight, at least.
And now Tom Kench is going to use his ultimate to get Paradox back to the lane, hopefully to clear this out and not allow them to pick up the first turret of the game. Scrim now gets locked up by the Chompers. Does have a little bit of barrier for himself, and now Darkhat's going to go on in. Rocket lands on a Paradox, gets himself down, gets a kill for himself, but Darkhat is going to be taken down. 2 people taken down now, and that is going to be Herald and a third. Double kill for Scrim, but now on the top side of the map. Moody putting the pressure up there, and the Herald is going to be able to push it down. The rest of R5, or I mean the bot side of R5 was able to hold that turret, and now it is going to be first turret, Herald, going in the favor of R5.
Yeah, that was actually just really well played by R5. So, actually, I think the thing that actually saved that play to make it work as long as it did was actually Paradox's use of his spell shield. He was able to spell shield most of the damage from the rockets, so that actually helped quite to keep him alive enough for Darkhat to mistakenly try to dive.
Yeah, but now Boom Hunter got the lockdown onto Moody, but still no follow-up from anyone there. Patty's Wagon was making his way over, but not much he could do in the end.
Yeah, Hecarim's kind of a hard person. Like, if he was going to lock him down, he should have just ulted, like, immediately after that Q, not waited as long. But any hesitation, and Hecarim just gets out. So, basically, yeah, I mean, so far, so good for R5. Again, the Herald by Moody was extremely well used. I don't even think they probably thought that they were going to get that first tower, but unfortunately, it's going to be really hard for LSG, I think, to come back into late game. And now it's going to...
Dragon does go over to LSG. Moody is going to be taken down. The rest of LSG trying to turn this fight in their favor. They got the Dragon for themselves, and now moving on forward to staying onto the Syndillion. Syndillion almost gets taken down by the Rocket, but that is only going to be 1 kill for LSG here. Or maybe not. Bind almost hits on the Scrim there, but very well played there by LSG to get that one. Moody tried to get the Dragon for themselves, but gets himself in a really bad position and cannot make his way back on over. Scrim now and bound up, uses the stopwatch to keep himself alive for a little bit longer. Paradox does walk into another trap himself, and LSG is just going to pick up another kill. Double kill for LSG's bot lane.
Yeah, so there was actually a lot of things that went wrong with that. That was a Mountain Dragon, I think, right? Yeah, Mountain Dragon that you guys, as in Recon 5, are not prepared to take. Probably shouldn't be forcing something that your mid lane's not in position for. As you saw, Syndillion had to actually flash to reposition. So what should have happened was R5 should have just backed off, let him take that Dragon. Instead, they tried to force something. Pretty much all died because they were out of position, and a lot of the Orianna isn't on her main items yet, obviously Paradox isn't on his main items yet, so definitely should have never taken that fight, and because of that, unfortunately, Jinx is now 2-1 and has a lead over the bot lane securely, because of course it did help that she got the kill after with the 2v2 as well, and they got the Dragon and they got a tower. Really well played by LSG there. Really big mess up by R5 though.
Yeah, they got a little too aggressive here. Now LSG may look for something here. Boom Hunter gets the bind onto Scrim, and now the traps are going to follow. Cleanse is going to be used. Scrim realizes he's got to get himself out of that situation, and he does with that cleanse. But just with one bind is able to pull out one summoner spell from Scrim. Scrim does have the unsealed spellbook to change it up and have an advantage. Tanzo now is left alone in the bot lane to push. They did get a turn in the bot lane and may get something in the mid lane here for LSG, but Tanzo now on the bot side of the map, and Scrim in a really bad situation, has to flash away. Darkhat going to jump back in on him. Disdain is there. Scrim is going to be taken down. And now Tanzo gets himself a free turret in the bot lane. LSG should be able to take this mid lane turret without a problem.
Yeah, so I think actually the biggest problem there was the lane orientation. Orianna should not be top. It should have been Orianna mid to help clear that wave, and maybe Sivir top, if anything, but even probably Hecarim would have been the better of the two, honestly. So I think the Lave orientation actually caused a lot of that problem there. And had they had the Sivir Orianna mid, that probably this play again would have been really hard for them to force, and Tanzo would have gotten a couple towers for free. He does get one tower in return, but the mid tower is way more important, map wise than the bottom tower is for tier 1.
Yeah, now that bottom turret is down. Both teams have taken down 2 turrets for themselves, and with that mid lane turret down, it does allow for LSG to have a little more of an advantage getting across the enemy jungle a little bit, not have to worry about that mid lane turret. But like you just said, giving up a bot lane turret there for that mid lane could hurt LSG in the long run. Yuki Bunny getting a lot stronger with the 2-1-4 KDA at the moment, does have a little like a 15 CS lead on the Sivir at the moment. Not too bad, but will be able to deal so much more going later in this game with the team fight, in these team fights.
Yeah, and unlike last game where Ashe needs like 6-ish items to be really effective, to be honest, Jinx only needs about 3 items. That's where she kind of comes online as her 3 power spike. It's going to be a lot harder, I think, for Recon 5 just to ignore the ADC like last game, because not that you were ignoring Ashe, but obviously compared to the 2, Jinx is going to do a ton more damage. So do you think that is going to be problematic for Recon 5 that Jinx is this far ahead? Again, it is still kind of a dangerous thing for LSG, though. This is kind of looking a lot like last game where early game was a little poor for Recon 5. In this case, it wasn't that it was the early game, it was really that dragon fight. But I do think that in this mid game that we're going to be coming up to in about 7-ish minutes, that's kind of be about when the mid game starts, is if LSG isn't able to hold Recon 5 off in that mid game, it's going to be really problematic, because especially if Recon 5 gets a Baron in that mid game, I think this game is going to end much like last game. But if LSG keeps playing the way they are, this late game is going to be nearly impossible to stop.
Yeah, now LSG is going to be picking up that next dragon for themselves with no problem. R5 cannot contest it at the moment, and Tanzu's going to keep that pressure up, but he still has to worry about Dark Cat and the rest of LSG making their way over, as R5 doesn't have too much pressure right now in either lane of mid and top, so Tanzo could get himself in a pretty bad situation. Now he does see Dark Cat up on the top side. Tanzo could decide to clear out this wave and keep on pushing. But now Moody is going to go in on a Boom Hunter. Tom Kench is into the back line. Boom Hunter uses the stopwatch, or Zonya's, to keep himself alive a little bit longer. Moody's going to be taken down by Yuki Bunny. Fight is going to be turned around. Tanzo now is using the teleport to get into the fight. Scrims are already going to be taken down. That is 2 kills for LSG here. Paradox now is going to be taken down by the Fear Beyond Death. Tanzo is in a dangerous situation. Going to be popped on over by the Purge. And now that is going to be a possible Baron. A really bad timing for R5, because Baron is up. 4 members of R5 have been taken down. LSG get this for free.
Yeah, that was... So, again, when we talk about win conditions of your comp, right? LSG's comp is going to be that team fight. So I'm actually kind of surprised that there was a force by R5 for that team fight. I don't think, even with them being this ahead, and maybe they haven't even realized they're not as ahead as they thought they were yet, with them not being ahead, taking a team fight like that, you're just going to lose, especially if the numbers are even, or even like maybe even slightly in your favor sometimes. So I do think it was a very greedy decision by R5 to take that fight. With LSG, though, now especially Yuki Bunny is so strong. Like, he's not going to be an AC you can now ignore. He is only on that second item, but he is ever closer to that third item, and I don't think he went back yet, so he actually is probably going to be close to that third item now, which is going to make it very hard for Recon 5 to win this game, I think, now. So it's definitely going to be a lot now on when if Paradox can hold them off with his second item, which is probably going to be Rapid Fire Cannon. If I looked at last game, that's what he went. And if Tanzo is going to be effectively able to split push without R5 just getting totally collapsed on. Now with Orianna and Sivir, you should be able to clear the waves effectively, even with Baron. But so far, it seems like they haven't been in the same lanes at the same time because usually, again, lane orientation for maximization, you go different lanes. But for Baron, I think this is kind of important that they are in the same lane to help clear the waves and make sure that it's going to be hard for LSG to simply just siege on them.
Yeah, now the Azir turret being used to try to keep the pressure up in the mid lane. Yuki Bunny, Boom Hunter take down the top lane turret. The Baron buff is up for LSG, and they're going to keep pushing on forward with that Jinx, who's so far ahead and does so much damage. Bind does miss, but now Dark Cat is in onto the back line, uses the ultimate, but it is going to be blocked by Scrim there, and not going to find anyone. Moody is on the bottom side. He's going to make his way up. They may look for something, but it could be devastating for them. Nice taunt there from Tanzo. Tanzo is slowed up, but LSG now just going to pick up the turret and walk away towards the mid lane wave. Definitely a smart move for them. They don't want to force anything, especially with having that Baron buff in their favor. You have the Jinx already with you. You might as well just use the Baron, use that pressure you have, and knowing that R5 cannot take any team fight with you at the moment. So now Moody is actually going to go onto Rat Load there and do a lot of damage. Purge is going to be able to just destroy. The Fear Beyond Death was used. Hecarim trying to get himself further and further away. Yuki Bunny with a nice rocket there onto Hecarim, taking him down.
Yeah, it seems like R5 is just trying to force team fights and they just can't. And I think there was a lot of time for Moody to get out. So I'm surprised, he didn't take the out when he had the time to. But yeah, I think right now, while this Baron's up, you're pretty much just trying to not team fight at all. You're just trying to clear, you're just trying to save your objectives. And so far, R5 really hasn't done that. They've been looking for skirmishes, and skirmishes here are not going to help you. They are actually going to hurt you and put you in the hole much further. For LSG, they've been playing this near perfect. They're not forcing anything. They're letting the team fights come to them because R5 is giving it to them. And they're making this mid game pretty one-sided. And like I said, the late game is theirs to have. So it's going to be very hard for them to, I think, lose now, especially if they're playing like this. They're not giving R5 many openings to come back into the game. And R5 is giving them pretty much every way to end the game.
Yeah, no, LSG do get the Infernal Dragon. Even more of a benefit going into these team fights. Yuki Bunny's so strong right now, and then the rest of LSG playing this really well over time of this game, like you said, should be able to clean this one up with no problem. Now Tanzo is keeping the pressure on the bottom wave at the moment, but it looks like Scrim is having a little issue with a lag at the moment. But Tanzo making the wise decision, keeping that wave pushed up, because top lane is pushed up as well, forcing LSG to only decide on one wave, or they have to split themselves up and try to have pressure on the opposite ends of the map, and that's what R5 wants. They want to split LSG up, so then there's less of a chance for a team fight, and they can focus more on possibly getting a pick, or just keeping up the wave clear and the pressure from split push in this game, and it could work out for them. But LSG, they're so strong right now, and with the way that they have the team fight composition, they're able just to sit in this mid lane wave and not have to worry about R5 at all.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest problem for R5 has, like I said, they've been kind of giving them every win condition. R5s with Orianna and Sivir, they should just be wave clearing this and never really have even with teamfight, Yuki Bunny should never really be able to get on them because they're just clearing waves. That should be their job right now. The problem is they keep taking skirmishes and then trying to force a fight because of it, and then either they don't have the numbers anymore because the skirmish lost because again they're really far behind now. Even though maybe the gold isn't there, it's clear that the team comp for team fights is going to favor the side of LSG.
Tanzo getting himself in a very bad position and now taken down. Boom Hunter is going to be the one to pick up that kill. But Tanzo looking for some gold for himself as the bot lane wave was pushed up. But it's not exactly what R5 wanted right there. Dark Cat now pushing himself forward to try to get this control ward, and they do. Don't think they're going to be able to protect that control ward, but Like you said, Paradox and Sindillion really need to just clear out these waves at the moment, while Yuki Bunny is actually going to sit on the third there. Moody now is going to try to go on and use the Unstoppable Onslaught. The Black Shield is going to keep Yuki Bunny alive for a little bit longer. Try to flash away 800 gold over to Moody and gets the shutdown for himself. A double kill for R5. Very wise for R5 to start that out. And now the Fear Beyond Death is going to be used onto Scrim, but they wanted to look for that onto Moody. But by forcing LSG to split themselves up, Moody pulled the trigger and decided to go for that kill onto the LSG bot lane, and Flash is now down for Yuki Bunny, and that is going to be very, very hard for Yuki Bunny to stay alive if R5 is able to get into that backline, and also with the Baron coming up very soon, you're going to see a team fight.
Right. So I'm actually surprised that we didn't see R5 try to push that mid lane right there to get at least a turret and then reset for the Baron. While maybe like Scrim gets some wards out. And to be fair, I didn't see if Scrim had ward charges, so maybe he went back because he didn't. But it seems like since he has 2, I assume he didn't go back. So that's what I would have done. At least I would have called for it. I think that's what they probably should have done as well. So they did reset, but they actually got nothing from it, which although they get the kills and the shutdowns, right? Obviously, that's a pretty big deal. The fact that they got no pressure anywhere else is a little worrying, and I think because of that, LSG probably is just going to get to this Baron near uncontested.
Yeah, now R5 knows that they need to go over to this Baron buff, and the Baron buff is going to be taken down really fast. LSG now have the extra wave pressure that they need to go up against Paradox and Sindillion, and also forces a team fight opportunity for them in the middle, in this mid lane.
Yeah, so like we said earlier, even with the Baron buffs, it's going to be really hard just for LSG to walk down. Now, this second tier mid tower should be gone because it's super low from the last time. But as long as Orianna and Sivir are next to each other, there should be no problems at all for wave clear past this point. So, and if for the side of LSG, you're probably going to need to find another team fight to really knock down this base, I think. But like I said, so far Recon 5 has kind of been giving them that. It's not like they haven't really had to look very hard.
Yeah, and Sindillion tried to look for an ult there onto Yuki Bunny, but wasn't able to get anything more than that. Tanzo putting himself further into the back line. How do you stop it to keep himself alive? Moody does take down Yuki Bunny. R5 is going to try to turn this fight back around in their favor. Moody uses the ultimate onto Ratload, but it doesn't matter. The unstoppable Purge is going to keep on going. One after the other with Paddy's Wagon following it up. That is 2 kills for Ratload and 3 kills for Paddy's Wagon. This game is all but over. LSG now are going to be able to pick up the game 2 and bring this into a game 3.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, you just want to wave clear. You don't want to take a team, and that's exactly what they did. And like I said, it seems like all game that Recon 5 has actually just been playing towards LSG's win conditions. They've been giving them these team fights that I don't think they ever had to take. They had the wave clear to prevent LSG from really sieging. I think if you're Recon 5, you have to kind of regroup, and I think probably a little tilt came in here because I assume that's what happened. But basically, I think if you're Recon 5, the changes you have to make the next game is one, well, don't let them have Jinx again. So that's kind of off the board, I think. And the next thing is that too, for Recon 5, they got to stop taking skirmishes that don't really make sense. One by the dragon, right? They weren't set up, so I think that was the first. And then they were forcing fights that they had no right to when they had every other option to just wave clear or prevent the fights from happening. When they did make good plays, like they got the Jinx down the middle, they didn't take advantage there. And when you're behind like that, you have to play macro pretty close to perfect. Obviously not perfect, but pretty close. And I think they wasted some advantages they had there too. So overall, I think the biggest reason why LSG won that is because one, R5 made too many force fights. But on the other hand, LSG, I mean, Yuki Bunny on the Jinx, absolutely dominating, did an amazing job, was always, I mean, his rockets were on point. Like, how many rockets did you see get a kill from, like, across the map or, like, a decent amount away? definitely is going to be, I think, a good game 3, and I expected nothing less from LSG as setting. They are a good team, and if you give them the opportunity for team fights, they are one of the better team fight teams I've seen. So, that's going to be their strength, and definitely they showed it last game.
Yeah, very well played in the end by LSG, making this go on to a game 3 for this series. Early on, we already said R5 looking to submit their first place seed as a 6-0 team, and LSG trying to take them down a notch and make fruition LSG and Recon 5 around the same level at this point. So we'll see who's going to be able to pick it up. Recon 5 looked really good in game 1, and then LSG turned it around for themselves in game 2. We'll be back in about 3 minutes for game number 3. Stay tuned.
If you won't believe me, open up your eyes. The magic is fleeting. Life is too short not to try. I've known this power that's inside, like 1,000 tears fall from the sky. But we won't get caught in mistakes of mine. I'll give you everything, 'cause you get the better of me. You say it's meant to be, and you get the
I am muted, but there was a reason for that. I was talking to somebody else at the very moment. Sorry about that. But now we are into game number 3 of this series between Recon 5 and LSG. Recon 5 looked pretty good in the first game. They were able to pull it off, and then LSG took home game number 2. And you said Ratload's got to do something about Tonzo and be on that Urgot, and he was pressured early on by Tonzo, but was a pretty dominant force throughout the entire game. But I nevertheless will put down LSG as a whole. The entire team, I have to give credit to. They did very, very well throughout that entire game. And so going into the next pick and ban phase, Pretty boy, give me your thoughts on what do you think they need to ban out, and what is the focus here for both sides in the game 3?
So, as we talked about game 2 before the game, I think Ratload on that Urgot is really strong. I don't think, even though his pressure early game was very mediocre and by himself he did nothing special, in the team fights he was super, super menacing. Like, it was really hard to get past him to get to the Jinx. I think if you're Recon 5, you're probably looking to ban the Urgot. Again, I think, I don't know if you want to let the Jinx through. I think the Jinx coming through with that much late game made it really hard for Recon 5 to ever come back after. Because Jinx is one of those carries that, like, once she gets ahead, she's ahead. You're not like, there's never a point where she becomes behind again, right? That's kind of the problem. She's like a ticking time bomb is what she is. That's what at least I think of her. Um, so I think for Recon 5, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jinx ban. I wouldn't be surprised, especially to see the Urgot ban. I think the Urgot ban will be kind of big because maybe Tanza will have more pressure that way. But I do think if you're Recon 5, you have to look at that glass game and you have to realize that a lot of the game went wrong when you started forcing things outside of your winning conditions. They forced team fights that made no sense because they don't win team fights. They weren't clearing waves, even though that was probably what they're best at doing. And again, a lot of it comes down to, I think, bad habits. And that dragon in particular was really bad. There was really no reason for them to go for that. If Moody was going to make a play like that, sure, then you probably let Moody try to steal the dragon and get out, but you never commit to something like that because they ended up blowing pretty much everything and got nothing. And if that wasn't bad enough, bot lane got caught after, and they lost tower, so they just lost too much in too little of a time, and then they started trying to force things, whether out of panic or because they thought they could, is kind of in the question. But regardless, the outcome remains the same. On the LSG side, they just played them into their win conditions extremely well. I mean, like that's kind of the thing with LGs, right? Like they know how to play team fight comps because that's what they do. So I'm not surprised to see them kind of pull out a victory with a team fight comp because if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be them. That's what I think makes this team so scary is that when you try to do a team fight comp into them, they're probably going to win because that's what they do. So for Recon 5, you have to, secure the pressure top. I'm not sure. It looks like they're going to be blue side, I think. Yeah, they're going to be blue side this game. So, that means someone's going to get a counter pick, but I definitely don't want to see that Urgot if you're going to get the counter pick because I think Tanzo wasn't able to get enough pressure because the Urgot is tanky enough to handle that 2v2 like we talked about, and it's also has enough pressure that even when behind, he's still useful.
Yeah, for sure. And now we are into the pick and ban phase. All 6 bans have been locked in almost. We got Zoe still being shown, but they may decide to want to ban out Riven instead. Recon 5 ban out the Hecarim. Yorick, Corky, and Lakeside Gaming once again take away Pyke from Scrim and Nidalee from Moody. Pyke, it's very scary on Scrim, so definitely something. Morgana is going to be grabbed by Recon 5. There was 2 games in a row that they decided for the Tom Kench on the Scrim, but this time decided they want to grab Morgana for themselves. Morgana, a very strong support at the moment, and definitely something that is going to make the bot lane a little bit more difficult for Lakeside Gaming. They could go for the Tom Kench themselves if they wanted. Definitely something they can pick up right now. Sejuani is going to be the first one to grab for Lakeside Gaming, and Braum is still up. Braum, Sejuani, definitely a good combination together, and maybe something they can pull off with the Ashe, because you did see in the other game that Ashe did pretty well on Yuki Bunny for them, even though they weren't able to pick up the game over the course of the game in Game 1. Still did seem like something to worry about, and now Braum is going to be grabbed by Lakeside.
Yeah, so I think I'm not surprised to see the Morgana picked up. I thought that they gave it over one too many times. And Boom Hunter clearly is very comfortable on it. Definitely want to give him off that comfort pick. So Braum is good, but I don't know how good he's going to be into Morgana. I was about to say Sivir, but I assume they're going to pick Sivir here. That would be my inclination, because that double spell shield into what you see here is super good, but we're actually seeing the Caitlyn. So actually, Recon 5 decided to go for a lane dominance here into Braum, which I think is going to be a little harder. But that's Scrim and Paradox have been playing this lane for a lot of the season, so this is actually where they've looked best at in this type of lane. So I'm expecting decent things to come out of them for this match, obviously. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see jungle pick up here because they've already shown jungle, and I don't think you want either Sindelian or Tanzo just to get counterpicked. And as you see, there's the Kindred.
Yeah, Kindred has been doing very well for Moody, and also you've seen Kindred over the course of the Champions League in the past couple of weeks pop up and be that dominant jungler, especially when it comes down to countering the Sonateric bot lane, but also is pretty good on her own, definitely not just a pick for countering. And now Lakeside Gaming will grab the Urgot for themselves early on, and are going to ban away Tanzo here. They want to make sure that Tanzo does not have an advantage when it goes up against the Urgot in the top lane on that on rat load. And Fiora is going to be the first one banned out. She got a little bit of a buff for herself. Not very significant, but definitely game-changing, at least for her. And she does pretty well against Urgot, so something to take into account. Paddy's Wagon's Azir is going to be taken away. Doesn't seem like Recon 5 want to have Paddy's Wagon on his comfort picks anymore. Kennen taken away from Lakeside Gaming, last ban from Recon 5. What do you think they're going to go for in these last 4 picks for game number 3?
This is going to be really tough, I think, because Recon 5 have kind of put themselves in the corner, I think, and now definitely have put themselves in the corner because they took away the Orianna. Obviously, Lakeside Gaming coming out with their typical teamfight comp, nothing to be expected. I do think it was a mistake not banning that Urgot because now they get a pretty free lane top, I think. So now you actually need the split push presser probably mid, unless they have like a secret Urgot counter that I wasn't aware of, which could come out, but
Yeah.
Seeing as they're taking a little longer on this pick. Victor. Okay, so that is an Urgot counter. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting game now because I don't know how well Victor's split pushes. I mean, it's not bad by any means, but like he's kind of immobile. So you know, with when you see a Sejuani come into lane, I think that's pretty much death for Victor most games, especially after 6. But it is a counter pick to Urgot, so I think Tanzo's gonna have to. It's gonna be a lot on Tanzo's shoulder to play this really well. The Talia. Okay, so that actually is a good pick though. Talia right now is like super strong. I think people have actually kind of forgotten about her a little bit, but she's super strong in that mid lane and into. She actually can split push really well, and especially into majority of like low range champions. She just bullies the absolute man out of them. From Lakeside Gaming, we are seeing that Ashe, again, I think the Ashe is good. Oh, maybe the main?
Grab it.
Okay,
yeah.
So he's going to be
like that pick.
Okay, so Lakeside actually is going, they're very confident, clearly, because they're taking a disadvantaged bot lane into the Caitlyn's Vayne. Now, I realize they have a Braum, and, the lane right now is more, even though it is Caitlyn favored, obviously, it is definitely not, like, Vayne is just getting absolutely bullied like she used to. Especially if you take Biscuit, right? If you take Biscuit, it's going to be a lot easier to survive that lane. But with that in mind, I do think that from my first analysis, so far, I mean, Lakeside, I think, has a very good comp. Again, the late game, like we talked about, is there. They don't really pick winning lanes, it seems, or maybe they just like a challenge. I'm not sure. But obviously, person went to the bathroom. Oh boy. But I do think that the Talia is actually going to be a big deal this game. If that Talia or Kindred get ahead, it's going to be really hard for Lakeside. Like that, even in teamfight comps, Talia with her ground is extremely hard to just kind of go past, and Victor with his W. And then, of course, teamfight comps generally rely on 2 things. Either they rely on a quick kill with their damage, or they rely on the fight going extremely long. Now, with the side of Recon 5, there's a lot of disengage with that ult from Talia, and obviously, again, the workaround, the Victor W, traps, right? There's a lot of disengage there for extended teamfight, at least. And not only that, but even if you do catch someone out, that Kindred with her ult is going to make it super hard. So it's going to be an interesting game for sure. It's definitely it's more like instead of a split push comp that we've seen from Recon 5 been playing today, it's more of a disengage comp. Pick disengage than it is a split push, with split push potential, of course. And the Lakeside, obviously the typical Lakeside of team fight, late game scaling, and if they get ahead early, then obviously you got to be scared because that is some of the better late game champions out there right now. So
yeah, and with the way Recon 5 has been playing in the Champions League, it seemed a little odd to me that they kept grabbing the Tahm Kench for scrim. A lot of the times Recon 5, every single member plays those very aggressive or even carry-like champions who can deal a lot of damage, and so when they picked Tahm Kench twice in a row for themselves, it was kind of odd to see that, but it did work out in was that a Recon 5? I'm going crazy.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
Recon
yeah,
5
okay.
and Game 1.
Yeah, so Recon 5, it did well in Game 1, but then in Game 2, it didn't seem like it went very well for them, so they decided to switch it up this game. And, I will have to agree with you. I would have liked the Sivir instead of the Caitlyn, but as we know, Morgana Caitlyn is definitely a strong pick, but you don't have much kill pressure when you're going up against that Braum. And, with the way this is looking for them, Sejuani is going to be on the top side of the map, and Lakeside Gaming is going to look to focus on getting a lot of CS and gold into Vayne's pocket rather than trying to focus so much on kill pressure.
Yeah, I do think that's going to be kind of the problem here, is that they're looking for an aggressive team fight. Looking for an aggressive bot lane early with the set of Recon 5, and it's going to be really hard just to take him out, and yeah, it's going to be really hard for them just to kind of come in and beat them. So I do think that if you're Recon 5, that there's going to be something that's going to be a little scary, because Caitlyn does have very good scaling herself. Like, it's not like her late game is bad. I would say out of all late game ADCs, she's probably like the lowest though. Like, she definitely does have a very good late game, but it's just not as good as like Vayne or Jinx or like Kai'Sa, or you get the point. Obviously, like those who like scale off real items, like heavily. So I do think that this bot lane is a little countered in the sense of what they're trying to achieve. With that in mind, I do think that if Tanzo and Sindelian are able to win their lane and Moody is able to control that top side, it's going to be really hard for LSG. Again, they are looking for a decent mid game, and to be fair, Vayne's late game is really good, but like her mid game's not bad either. Like, when she hits 2 items, and like usually it's probably going to be like the blade and the rage blade. When she hits that with press to attack, and that's what I assume she's going, we'll see in the loading screen obviously, those two combos are actually really strong, and actually like is a pretty big spike for her. So I do, at least from like initial area, I do think LSG's comp is better. Not because of what they're trying to achieve per se, but just like what Recon 5 has brought back to the table doesn't seem to me as strong. But again, I do think that Sindelian on Taliyah it's a big comfort champ. Tanzo on the Victor is really good too. I mean, last season in particular, he played it a ton. And it's going to be a lot on them too. There's going to be a lot in the solo lanes, and we're going to see how well this bot lane does. At least for certain, the bot lane of Recon 5 should come out alive, very much so, because they have the winning lane. So they should come out alive, and maybe hopefully with a few kills, because if they come out with a few kills, I mean, this game is going to be really hard for LSG at that point.
Yeah, and now the loading, excuse me. I got that timing wrong, because I always get the spectators delay wrong. So we are still in spectators delay at the very moment. It was just the loadout being finished up, but that was my bad there. Well, with 3 minutes left, the way that LSG has been with those 2 target bans on the Moody and Scrim, definitely something that I like to see from them, and a lot of teams have to really ban that out. And one of the things that I like, at least for one thing for LSG on that note, is that they're taking into account not only the fact that they can put rat load on someone who can do well against Riven and more comfortable in not banning that out, and also focusing on the fact that Paradox and Scrim, if you give them that Lucian Pike that they've gotten many times before, can be devastating. And then what I enjoy about it for R5's sake is that because you have these players who are so dominant and strong with a specific champion, it is literally forcing out LSG to ban 1 or 2. So most of the time, these players will have a very widely spread champion pool, and they do well in like maybe super well in 1 or 2 champions that are more of their main and their pocket picks. And to me, that is really a benefit for R5, because they're basically taking away 2 bans from LSG. Yeah, you don't get your first picks, but Moody's still really good on that Kindred, and Scrim is definitely very, very good on that Morgana. So I like the way that works for R5 every single time, because Moody got his Nidalee in the first couple of weeks, but then it just got banned out from the here on out because he is very good at it. And then the Pike showing up later on for Scrim being pretty unstoppable. So I just like the way that turned out for R5, and then also LSG being able to favor that and realize that maybe the Pike pick is more beneficial for them than the Riven.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what's it called? R5 is like, I do think like their bot lane in particular this game did get like the picks that I think that they're very strong on, like you mentioned. I mean, obviously you never count R5 out. Like they're 5-0 for a reason, right? And if anyone knows that better than anyone else, it's me. So if anyone knows that, that's definitely me. So I do think a lot of this game though is gonna have to be R5. It's gonna have to get an early game lead, but this time they can't throw it like they did last game, right? Because the first game they actually had a lead, and then they kind of threw it a little bit, and it didn't help that I think the Ashe was on LSG, because if they had maybe a more dominant ADC that they could have done more, but since they didn't, and it was just like more of a pick ADC and he wasn't hitting his arrows, I think it made it very easy for R5 to kind of just take over the game from that point on. This game, I think R5 is not only going to have to get somewhat of a lead, but mid game in particular, but they're going to have to keep this lead. And it's not that they have to play perfect, but they definitely cannot make major mistakes like they did last game. To be fair, I guess any team who makes a major mistake like they did last game is usually not going to win, but at least with the comp they had, right? But even with that in mind, like you can't be forcing skirmishes. You don't have that kind of comp. This game is a little interesting because I think this is actually not a teamfight comp. Again, this is more like a pick disengage, but you definitely can skirmish. I mean, like the skirmish on this comp is extremely strong for Recon 5, especially with that mid lane jungle duo. So I wouldn't be surprised to see mid lane and jungle try to take an early skirmish and try to take control of topside, and then maybe bring that advantage to Tanzo. Because again, if Ratload is not doing well on Urgot, it will make it harder, especially since this team is not one of those teams that you can engage on fully. But I will mention Urgot is actually Kindred's biggest counter because he just pulls the Kindred out of her ult. So, that is kind of another note. That's why I was a little surprised though if you were going to pick Kindred, why we didn't see the Urgot ban. So.
Yeah, now both sides going to set themselves across the map, making sure that there's no way for either side to get a deep control and some vision across. Moody now uses the W. The Wolf is trying to decide whether or not he wants to go to Patty's Wagon or Ratload. And he knows that Ratload is in this brush here. Going to have to walk away from that one. Can't really follow up with anything there. And now Patty's Wagon does know that Moody is there on the opposite side, and there's a chance that Tanzo could look for something here from behind, and actually he's going to get a deep ward there onto the red buff. Definitely something that is going to hurt LSG when it comes to their jungler.
Yeah, and if you remember game 1, I actually mentioned that the top laner was sitting in that bush. And that's actually can be a problem because, what Tanzo did right there is he just went right around and got a ward there, so they know exactly where Sejuani's starting now and where her jungle path is. I think that's actually the biggest problem is that I've consistently seen LSG, at least for this early game, they've started out the same way with the top and mid kind of hovering the same bush. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Moody get a little extra dominance because of the fact that he knows exactly where the LSG jungler Darkaz is starting. And you can see he's kind of going to Golems and then probably going to go to Scuttle right after. So Moody, knowing this, is probably going to look for something early, maybe an invade on that blue buff, which is where he's heading right now.
Yeah, and now the mark is going to be coming up very shortly for Moody, and he wants to prioritize that mark, which is going to be on the bottom side Scuttle in his favor. Now he's going to be able to take away that blue buff with ease, pick up the Scuttle, have his first mark at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll be able to help him out a lot here. Scrim with already 2 binds hit this game. And, with the way it's looking from that, hopefully he can keep on hitting those over the course of this game for R5. Patty's Wagon and Sindillion now looking for a little bit of a fight in the mid lane. Excuse me, I almost said Meteos. Moody is there, flashes on forward, and forces Patty's Wagon to use both of his summoner spells there, and that's going to hurt him.
Yeah, so the thing with Patty's Wagon there is where I'm a little surprised is that if you look at the ward in the Pixel Brush, is that
jungle, we have a little fight between Dark Cat and Moody. Moody does get stunned up, but Dark Cat's taking a lot of damage. Tanzo's on the other side, gets first blood for himself. Ratload uses the disdain to get himself over, but Tanzo's going to be able to follow him up. Don't think Ratload has to flash away there. Tanzo doesn't have enough damage, but that is double buffs over to Tanzo and 400 gold for this victor. Definitely a devastating lead for R5.
Yeah, so I actually think that LSU was a little greedy there because Patty's Wagon actually saw Moody on that Pixel Brush ward. So there's no way that he should have not realized that Moody would have been looking for their next. And then with the other side of the map that Moody had caught the Sejuani coming out, there's kind of a couple notes. Is again, not only did Patty Wagon know where Moody was, but so did Dark Cat. So I think both times actually they both kind of messed up by being super greedy. And he got collapsed on because he didn't have any lane priority. And the moment that they found him coming out, and I think they might have actually had a ward too, but I actually don't quite remember. The moment they saw him coming out though, and both lanes had lane priority, he was pretty much just dead. And now Tanzo gets a free lead on a top lane that I think he actually wins lane against Urgot. So this is going to be really problematic for that early game because, like I said, Recon 5 needs a early game lead, but they also need to win in that mid game. So this is actually going to help them immensely, I think.
Yeah, and Sejuani's definitely going to have to prioritize the top side now as Tanzo got a lot of gold from that. Skirmish now on the bot side of the map. Nice shield there from Scrim onto Paradox to cancel out Yuki Bunny and Boom Hunter's engage there. But Dark Cat definitely has to prioritize Tanzo if they want to have their top laner be able to do anything over the course of this game. I was surprised there that Yuki Bunny and Boom Hunter tried to look for something in the bot lane, and I would rather have them just focus on the CS. Nice dodge there from Yuki Bunny, uses the tumble to get away. But first dragon here is that Infernal Dragon, so very devastating for Dark Cat and Ratload, as Dark Cat's going to have to prioritize this bottom side a lot more than he wants to.
Well, not only that, but the Kindred is actually already bot side, so if they look for lane pressure here, and obviously Recon 5 does have that lane pressure, and they seem to be letting Vayne push in, so I assume that Kindred's probably coming here next, or maybe not. I guess it might go to Raptors.
Yeah.
We do see a little bit of a fight. Seems like Tanzo's gonna get out. So, but basically Kindred knowing where that the Sejuani is probably actually gonna just take this. So that actually might be a really big mess up by Dark Cat here. Yeah, as you can see, he's already starting it. Basically, Recon 5 is gonna get this for free. We have pressure in the mid and the bot lane, so Moody's free to do this. Big mistake, I think, by Dark Cat. And if you're gonna go for a top lane game like that, you better make sure to hit it when a Infernal's coming up.
Yeah, and Dark Cat was just spotted out once again by the ward, so they know he's still up there and can't contest whatsoever. That is freely going to go over to R5, that early Infernal Dragon for them. And Moody's not going to be able to find much here in the jungle on the bot side of the map, but now Dark Cat is on the opposite side looking for a dive onto Tanzo. Tanzo does get knocked up, flashes away, gets the stun onto Ratload, but Ratload uses the Fear Beyond Death. Dark Cat's going to be taken down. That's even more gold to Tanzo, and that is huge for R5. Tanzo is just getting so much gold and so much more of a lead against Ratload here early on.
Yeah, so this is actually a massive mistake in two areas. So I think my junglers out there will probably disagree, agree. Especially if you're a higher elo. If you're going into Victor top, usually you want to make sure that you have 6. The reason being is because that W in particular is going to be really hard to go against. If you notice, you're going to try to go on to Tanzo. He just used the W. Urgot got stunned because it's a super big length. And then he was able to freely focus the Sejuani, who was tanking tower. That's why you got to make sure to prepare for Victor W. You let him waste it first,
now
then you do
R5
it.
in the jungle once again, gonna look for something nice. Flash bind from Scrim there onto Dark Cat. Not gonna be able to get away from that one, and that is another kill for R5.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Cat doesn't own any jungle now. I think at this point he's just too far behind. I think that the early game really messed him up with those double buffs. And you can see that Sindillion gets that blue buff, so now that's going to put another advantage into the mid lane, which is, like I said, that Recon 5 needed. We do see a little bit of a skirmish, but Tanzo doesn't have the mana to finish this. So, anyways, though, I think Dark Cat is just super far behind, and it looks like Moody's just going to meet him every buff that he has, as you can see. So, unfortunately for Dark Cat, unless his lanes come to help him, he is going to be having a tough time.
Yeah, now in the bot lane, Scrim does get stunned up against the wall. Scrim's going to be taken very low. Ignite's going to take him down. That is going to be a kill for Boom Hunter there. And I believe the stack for Moody did go to him. I'm not sure if I was able to see that, but because Sindillion was able to walk up and help out his jungler, I think he was able to. I'm not sure. You want to clarify? Help me out here. Did you see that?
I did not, so I actually don't know either.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll find out though, because it will show quickly here. So I'm actually not sure if he did get it or not, but I will say, even if he didn't get the mark, I don't think it matters too much, because I mean, Kindred is almost 20 CS ahead, getting close to that, and he also has the kill, right? So Kindred's pretty much sitting pretty here and can do whatever he wants. And anytime now that Dark Cat meets in his jungle with Moody, he's pretty much dead. So I think if you're Dark Cat, you have to start actually, you have to look to out jungle the opposite side of the map as Moody on Kindred. So if you can successfully do that, you might be able to kind of catch back up a little bit till you're 6. Well, he is 6, but catch up a little bit and possibly get in some decent ganks with your ults. But it looks like he keeps trying to match Moody, and that's going to be really bad every time he does that now. And you can even see, even now, Kindred's about to go match him.
Yeah, now they're going to look for something. Smite did come down from Dark Cat. He did get that away. Glitch of Fisher's there, but Scrim with a beautiful shield to get himself or get Moody away. Moody does get locked up and taken down. He's not able to ult to follow up with anything more there. Patty's Wagon now has to flash on over. Sindillion's following with more. Paradox tries to get the kill onto Dark Cat, but only Patty's Wagon will be taken down. Ultimate ace in the hole used, but Boom Hunter's going to be able to block that one up. R5 take advantage of it. They didn't get the scuttle, but now they will be able to pick up those kills and slowly get this lead further and further ahead.
Yeah, so we talked about this as in my role particularly. I think it was game 1. If you can't
topside, you have the flash. Ratload is going to go on to Tanzo. He uses the Fear Beyond Death. Fear Beyond Death is going to take him down. That is a shutdown for Ratload. 450 gold going to him. Very well done.
Wow, that was really well played. Also, another reason why I think they should have banned the Urgot. Ratload seems a little too comfortable on that champion. If he knows the limits that well, that he can do that, usually that means the person's pretty good at that champion. With that in mind, though, I do think that...
Another fight now. Boom Hunter gets bound up by Scrim. Has to flash away. Melody's going to try to keep... Moody keeps on going for more. I don't know why I said Melody, but he does get a kill for himself onto Boom Hunter. Another Infernal Dragon is up. That is going to be a 4v5. Teleports are not up for either top laner at the moment, so actually it's going to be a 4v3 down here in the bot lane, and that Infernal Dragon should go over to R5 with no problem. LSG cannot contest at all.
Yeah, this is the kind of the benefit of having a jungler that's super far ahead, especially this far ahead, where he can just do whatever he wants, especially on an early to mid game champion too. And Kindred's late games too is good because she is like an ADC, right? So she does scale off items, ADC type items. So I do think if you're Ratload, you're kind of a little bit in a panic here. You're 15 CS down. He's pretty much got all the pressure in the world as a Moody does.
But now Sindillion gets ulted on by both Patties and Dark Cat and gets taken down with ease. Sindillion tried to look for something onto Patty's Wagon, but didn't realize Dark Cat was on the other side of the wall.
Now, I'm actually a little surprised at this play from Cindy because he's usually really smart on this, but we watched Patty Wagon, and like he knew because we just invaded the bot side that Patty's Wagon had to be on the top side. You watched him walk through mid tower because like that was the only place he could go. So you had to know he was probably at Raptors if Raptors was up. So I am surprised he took a play like that and walked that close to Raptor wall. I mean, 620 ult does have a decent amount of range, so a little bit surprising play from Sindelian here, but I don't think it changes the fact that though this mid lane I guess is a little more in favor for LSG now. It unfortunately doesn't help Sejuani enough to get back into this game.
Yeah, they're so far behind, and now Moody and Darkcat are trading off their jungles, but it doesn't matter. The significant gold lead for Moody and the rest of R5 here is pretty big. Now, they may look for a dive here with Moody. Moody has been spotted out here. Yuki Bunny, Boom Hunter going to have to back off completely and give away this turret for free. There's nothing that they can do there, but Darkcat going to try to counter it with getting the Herald for LSG. But still, that's still so much more of a gold lead for R5 now by getting that first turret. It is going to be very devastating for LSG. Sindelian controlling the mid lane wave very, very well. And it looks like R5 is actually going to keep on pushing this bot lane.
Yeah, so it all depends if they get the second tier turret, but I doubt they will. I mean, that is a Vayne and Braum, and 2 ADCs, right? So that's going to be really hard.
Yeah, now on the top side, Tonzo does get the stun up. The Disdain gets in a bad position. Ratlo's going to be taken down. Tonzo's going to try to go for the 2v1 here, but now on the bot side of the map, Scream is going to go on forward. Yuki Bunny's going to get locked on down. That is 2 kills for Moody. That Kindra's going to save herself right there with that ultimate. Very well played, R5. They know they have the win condition, and they're going to keep on going. They're pushing out this bot lane at the moment. Both members of LSG's bot lane has been taken down. Herald has been popped. Darkcat's trying to counteract with it. Tonzo now is stunned up, is going to be taken down by Darkcat. Actually, wait, no, the shield keeps him alive for a little bit longer, but Darkcat gets out of range just in time. Very well played by Darkcat. Still, though, R5 being able to pick up a kill for Tonzo, and then Moody now has 2 kills for himself after that fight. Snowball is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, so I guess well played by Darkcat. Obviously, he did get the top turret, but they lost all of bot lane. That's actually a huge problem.
Oh, now in the mid lane, Sindelian gets taken down by the ultimate from Ratload. Fear Beyond Death has been used and kind of got himself caught out once again there. That's twice now Sindelian got himself caught out.
Yeah, I think Sindelian took a really greedy path there. That was like the path where you're probably, if you're going to meet anybody, it's going to be there, right? Like that was the one place. I mean, they could come from behind you, but it's really doubtful. So I'm surprised that he made that greedy play. Definitely usually a player who doesn't make those type of greedy pathing. Like that's not usually what he's known for, but he did it this game. So, but let's talk a little bit about that, that play in the bot lane. I think it was actually really big that R5 got that second tier tower. Herald, for first tower could be worth it if they knocked down that mid lane, but they used it for top lane. So they actually didn't even get a priority lane, which I actually do think is kind of a problem. So I would say overall Recon 5 comes out on top, even though they did, lose like a death with Tonzo and the top tower. Because now Recon 5 has all that pressure in bot lane, and there's really not much that LSG can match it with right now.
Yeah, now Tonzo and it looks like every single lane is actually going to swap. Paradox Scream going to place themselves in the mid lane, Sindelian up in the top lane, and Tonzo down in that bot lane. And, with the bot laners who are pretty strong right now, putting themselves in the mid lane does help out a lot. Now, Ratload and Moody are there. Darkcat as well to help him out. And now Tonzo's trying to get a kill onto Ratload. Ratload has to flash away. Moody's going to flash on forward to look for more. The slow is put on through. Darkcat uses the ultimate to get Moody down, but Moody doesn't have time to get his ultimate across. Tonzo is in a really bad position. Disdain has been used, and that is going to be a double kill for Ratload.
That was just very, very poorly played by Recon. That flash by Moody was not very good. First off, he wasn't even in range for the slow. And the other thing is once you use that flash, he kind of made himself the front line here. This is, when you're taking a skirmish with Kindred and Victor, you're taking a skirmish, you're trying to kite them, not all body melee into them. So Very poorly played by Recon. Luckily for them, the only thing they're going to lose here is an Air Dragon, which isn't the worst thing in the world. They don't lose any towers for it unless they all hit bot, which might happen because we don't have anyone to respond bot lane. So maybe they'll lose a little more than that. But yeah, definitely not very well played by Tanza or Moody there. But overall, Recon 5 is still kind of in the driver's seat here because mid game is coming up, and that's where Recon 5's comp really is going to shine.
Yeah, now LSG are slowly making their way back into play, and I have to say, I should have agreed with you a lot earlier on, but the fact that they need to ban out this Urgot, it's showing to be a strong force that Recon 5 are not taking into account. They did get a couple of kills onto Tanzo and a lot of gold for him, but Ratload being a devastating force against R5 and definitely showing up to be something that will help LSG get back into this game slowly. But like you just said as well, R5, they do have that mid-game composition that can do very, very well. So R5's got to take their advantage where they have it and hopefully do something very soon.
Yeah, I think R5 is about to start being on the clock here because R5 is... They have to win this mid game. Like, they have to. They cannot
in
get
the mid lane,
team.
Paddyswagon with the ultimate onto Scrim. Scrim's going to use the Zonias to stay alive for a little bit longer. Scrim's going to be taken down, but now on the bot side of the map, Tonto is going to be used. The Disdain is on over. Ratload's going to get another kill for himself. Dark Cat is just sitting with Ratload, getting kill after kill onto Tonzo. And now R5's trying to get something in the mid lane. Boom Hunter's able to block off a lot of damage, however, and there's not going to be able to hold up the turret, but it was able to hold for a little bit, for a little while, but now that they know that Dark Cat and Ratload are down on the bottom side, they can push out this mid lane turret. Dark Cat, however, is on the opposite side. They do have the ultimate, and now the teleport's coming in from Ratload. Ratload's looking to come in for this play. Ace in the hole is going to be used. It's going to take down one. Patty's Wagon Guts taken down. Moody now has the ultimate. He's going to turn this around. Now, if you see Yuki Bunny and Paradox are going to try to look for a fight against each other, the 1v1 is going to go through. Moody's going to be taken down by Ratload. Yuki Bunny and Paradox going back and forth, but they're going to take each other down. Boom Hunter is very low. Tanzo doesn't know he's on the other side of the wall, but R5 do have the man advantage. Could look for something here. The root has been put down onto Ratload. Ratload does get stunned up a little bit, and he's going to be taking a lot of damage there.
Yeah, so very well played by Moody. He actually, I think, saved that fight for Recon 5 because it actually was looking really bad. Very good idea to push on that mid because if you saw, not only was Ratload and the jungler at the bot side, but Vayne was actually top side too, so it actually took her quite a while to get there. It looks like they're probably going to get this mid tower, I think. They should. Yep, there it is. So actually, very well played by Recon 5. Definitely a very good push of that advantage. Excellent overall team fight by Moody in particular. He definitely saved that team fight for them, and so did Paradox. Paradox being able to 1v1 that Vayne was kind of a big deal, even though it was trade killed, so Vayne did the shutdown. So yeah, but like again, now Recon 5 is definitely on the clock, so from here on out, I mean,
yeah,
they're going to have to
something's going to go on to
push.
Tanzo here. Tanzo is going to get very low. It's going to be taken down by Ratload. They might want to turn this fight around. Paradox now in a really bad position. Nice ultimate there from Patty's Wagon. Disdain was used to get himself the double kill here. And now LSG is going to look for this Baron. The rest of R5 is going to have to try to do something very soon. The bind does land on the Ratload, but they can't really fight the Urgot as he is so strong right now. He has 8 kills right now. The rest of LSG looking to push onto this Baron, hopefully get it for themselves. Sandillion doing a lot of damage to Patty's Wagon. Patty's Wagon, whoa, with just one ability, two abilities, was able to get Sandillion down to half HP. Baron is getting down very low. Glacial Fissure was used. Moody trying to get into the Baron pit to try to steal this away. Braum does get the Baron fort himself. Moody gets taken down. Scrim is going to be flipped on over. There's no more of R5. LSG is now has the Baron and is going to push this mid lane.
Yeah, very, very bad timing by Tanza there. That was not a word you should look for. I don't know if he just wasn't paying attention or what happened. Unfortunate, of course, but definitely it's going to be hard now. Again, I said Recon 5 was on the clock, and they pretty much have to face a Baroned up LSG, and that clock is decreased, especially. And I think now that LSG is ahead, it's going to be really hard for Recon 5 to come back. Like, that is a team fight comp And once late, especially with the late game for the side of LSG, all they have to be is even or even a little ahead, and so far they're way ahead now. So that actually could be the nail in the coffin right there. We're gonna have to see. Now it's really up to Recon 5 to play their macro extremely well and get picks.
Yeah, now Patty's Wagon's going to clear out that bottom wave, but the Windrake is the one that is going to be taken down for LSG here. That is going to be the second Windrake to them. Not too much of an advantage, but definitely helps them get across the map a lot easier. And with the Baron buff being up, definitely an advantage in the end for them. And like you said, R5 now not going to be able to look for much. Scrim in a really bad position. Darkhat's going to move on for Spell. Has been blocked, but they're still going to try to get the kill into Scrim. Scrim's going to flash on over, and that is going to be the Summoner spell used. An ultimate from Darkhat, but with that flash being down, it makes it a lot more difficult. But now Tonzo's in a really bad position, gets taken down by Patty's Wagon. They're going to look for Moody. Moody now is going to be pulled away by Ratlow. That is 2 kills for LSG. They're going to keep on pushing forward. R5 slowly just making these mistakes, and LSG using the team comp to their advantage and taking advantage of these mistakes.
Yeah, unfortunately for Recon 5, I don't really see a way for them to get back in this game anymore. They've made too many mistakes, much kind of like last game. A lot of positional mistakes, actually. That's kind of the surprising thing, I think, is how... they've just been disrespecting LSG and their potential. It just seems like they've been... They know they have a mid game, but they assume because they have the mid game that the other team would just roll over, at least in my opinion. But, yeah, no, LSG is just playing this super well. Urgot in particular is being a super menace. I still think they should have banned that champion. Ratload seems a little too comfortable on it for my taste, and I would have preferred that Tonzo had the automatic lead top and not just given them something he was so comfortable on and tried to counter it.
Yeah, now LSG is going to keep pushing on forward. They have the ward and vision advantage in this game at the very moment, and with that Baron buff still at hand, I believe the Baron buff is going to go away in just a couple minutes from now. But still, even with that being said, you're going to have someone to help out Tonzo against Ratload, because Ratload got Death's Dance. And Death's Dance makes him unstoppable when it comes to 1v1s, especially when he has 9 kills to his name.
Yeah, and if you look at the side of Recon 5, no one has any... like an executioner call. I'm trying to remember what the grievous wounds.
Grievous, yeah.
Yes, none of them have grievous wounds, which means that no one's cutting that heal at all. That's going to be super strong into Recon 5, and I just don't really see at this point a way for Recon 5 to come back in. I think they've just made too many mistakes at this point. And the only way you're coming back in is LSG starts making mistakes, and they're not the team that does that. They're a team fight comp that plays extremely safe, and they play to their win conditions almost exclusively. And so far, that's what exactly has happened. They have played to this team fight near exclusively, and Recon 5 just hasn't respected it multiple times this game, where it's not that they didn't know where anyone was, they just didn't respect the fact that they were there.
Yeah, now the rest of LSG placing themselves up on the top side of the map here, trying to get the pressure pushed up and pushed up forward. They have that snowball lead. Gonna just get bigger and bigger. The turret's gonna be bursted on down. Patty's Wagon gets in a little bit of a fight there with Sendillion. Ace in the hole does land, not too much damage. Darkhat now has to jump on over. Now Tonzo gonna fight Ratload a little bit, but it's level 13 versus level 16. Wall has come out from Sendillion. They're trying to look for a 4v4 here as Ratload is on the other side of the map. The wall is not gonna be very helpful in the end there. Boom Hunter jumping on forward onto Paradox, but just pushing them away while Ratload keeps this pressure on the bot side of the map. That is something. 3 levels ahead of Tonzo right now. That is huge.
Yeah, and a lot of those have to do with those kills. Obviously, I mean, he got quite a bit of kills for himself, and I think if this game, if there's anything to learn from Recon's side, and of course, I never was going to say it's over till it's over. Because, I mean, Recon could, make a miracle comeback. It's not like they've never done that before, but I think a lot of the lessons you learn from this game in particular is that you have to respect their engage. If they're playing a team fight comp, you have to respect the engage. I mean, you just have to. And definitely, using the warding, having the warding now is very good, but making sure to keep an eye on that warding is just as important. A ward's only good if you actually see it, right? Like if you see what the vision provides.
Yeah, now the bind does land on a Ratlow. They're going to try to get something on him. He does have the Guardian Angel to protect himself at the moment, but as you just saw, they used so much of their abilities and damage sources and only got Ratlow down to half HP. Think of him in these fights when he has the Purge proc and the Death's Dance going. It's just going to be so hard to kill him. Very wisely built by Ratlow for that Guardian Angel, making it even harder for them. And now this Infernal Dragon is just going to be devastating. Recon 5, it is very slim. It is almost impossible to come back in this game unless LSG at some point gets himself in a bad position.
Yeah, the only way I really see LSG like really messing up this game, to be quite honest with you, is a Baron dance. If they don't play the Baron correctly, they tank it too long and then maybe get turned on because of it, and maybe have a split decision. That could definitely be a way to throw it, but I don't see it happening. LSG's been playing this macro extremely well, and again, I swear this team likes to like hurt themselves in the sense that they only play late game comps. If they actually had some early game champions here, they probably
now they're
would
going to look for
dominating.
a fight here. Glacial Fissure has been used onto the back line, but Moody's on the other side of the wall. Ratlow is going to be able to pick up the Baron for them. Scrim has been taken down. So much damage onto LSG, though. Moody's trying to keep himself alive. Yuki Bunny's going to get over the wall. Flash for Flash. Paddy Wagon is over. Tonzo takes so much damage there from Paddy's Wagon. That is going to be 1 kill for 2 here. LSG picks up the Baron for themselves. 4 members of LSG still have that Baron in their favor, and it's on all 4 of the carries. And now Ratlow can sit himself in a side lane while the rest of his team pushes out one other lane for themselves, and it almost makes it unstoppable for Recon 5 to even control these waves.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. All the flashes used. You got 4 flashes used that last fight. That was quite a bit of flashes used to get out of that pit. But yeah, with this Baron, it just seems like kind of the nail in the coffin. Yes, you do, as Recon 5, you do have 2 wave clear sources in Sindelian and Tonzo, both AP, which actually does more damage to Baron minions. So that's actually a little bit of a positive. But it's just, I think at this point, LSG is just too far ahead. And, especially with Paddy Wagon in the mid lane and obviously Ratlow on 9-1, I mean, obviously, right? It just seems like they're too hard to stop, and you got the damage. Yuki Bunny's not even really even at his spike yet. Like, he's still kind of scaling. That's kind of the scary part. It's not like it's not even like they're at their full potential. So I just think it's going to be too hard for them to come back in this game.
Yeah, now they're setting themselves up. Ratlow is putting himself on the bot side of the map. He does have the teleport still as well. The rest of LSG now on the top side of the map, keeping the pressure up with that Baron, and R5 looking to just clear out the waves at the moment. Scrim now putting himself in a bad position. He does get slowed down. Bind does miss, but R5's got to look for something soon because Ratlow's just going to keep on pushing, and there's nothing that Tonzo can do.
Yeah,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It looked like we were gonna have a little fight there, so I was gonna let you do your thing. But LSG is just so far ahead, and I mean, they're comfortable enough to take this tower. Like Braum just literally.
Dillian almost placed himself in a really bad position there. Teleport does come out from the Urgot. They want to look for more. Moody does get locked down. I think, yes, he's going to get the ultimate down, but Ratlow's going to use his. It does miss, actually. Moody does get taken down after a couple more seconds. They're going to look for more. Disdain is not going to be there for them, and the rest of R5 just pulling on back as their jungler gets taken down. Going to keep the pressure going from the mid and top wave here. And go right ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, after that Orianna ult. The worst part is, I don't even think it matters that you missed the Orianna ult because they don't even have to hit everything at this point. So, yeah, I think right here is probably the nail in the coffin for Recon 5, unfortunately. Obviously, yeah, they're about to go get a 3rd turret. I don't even think they need a wave. They could actually probably just tank this. They do.
Yeah, they have no problem. No problem there for them. but now they're going to have to look to end this game very shortly. Moody is back up to help out his team. Tonzo gets super low, uses the stopwatch to keep himself alive for a little bit longer, but it does not matter. Patty's Wagon will take him down. Ratload uses it to stand to get on forward. Moody's going to be taken down, doesn't have his ultimate. The rest of R5 running for their lives, but it does not matter. LSG will be able to pick up this victory here. The bind lands on the Patty's Wagon. Yuki Bunny and the rest of his team. Ratload using the Purge, slowly burning these turrets down. Nice ultimate. Patty's Wagon does get taken down, but in the end, LSG take down the #1 team.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, even as owner of Recon, I got to give LSG credit there. They just played their comp extremely well. Like, they know how to play their team fight comps and like better than probably any other team does. So, congratulations to LSG. I guess it does make a 3-way tie technically, but I guess LSG would be technically in first, yes, because they've beaten both us and Fruition.
Yes.
That would. I mean, it's 3-way tie technically, but would be #1 out of the 3 ways. So,
yeah.
Congratulations for them, especially in your first season. That's a big accomplishment. So, shout out to all of them out there. And I saw that they were highly motivated. Like, they have a lot of fans coming in the chat. So, I'm happy for them, of course. But for the side of Recon White, my boys, we got this. It's cool. We're going to regroup, and we still got playoffs. So, and the next week is Fruition, and that's going to be a pretty big match. But, I got to say, LSG, man, you guys play that team fight comps extremely well. Like, probably better than almost any team I've ever seen.
Yeah, well put, pretty boy. Thank you so much for joining me today on this cast, and all the input that you gave the chat and myself today was very, very insightful, and something else that I actually thoroughly enjoyed. So thank you once again for joining me today. Thank you all in the Twitch chat for joining us at the Nightfall crew in the Nightfall Champions League for this amazing matchup between Recon 5 and LSG. LSG taken home with a reverse sweep with a 2-1 victory in the end, and are able to move themselves in that first place position at the very moment. I would say that Fruition, LSG, and Recon 5 are about the same at the moment. But at the end of this week, we will be able to fully define who is that #1 team at the very moment. And in the end, very well played by LSG. R5 showed up in the first and second game. The second game didn't go the way they wanted to, but in the third game, they had a nice start to it, and then later on in the end was not able to succeed, and LSG took home the game and the series. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the series, and hopefully will enjoy the next series coming up on Wednesday and Thursday. Stay tuned for that, and also tomorrow night we will have the Nightfall After Hours podcast, and stay tuned for that to get more insight on the Nightfall Champions League. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.